report in.
Red 10 standing by.
Red 7 standing by.
Red 3 standing by.
Red 6 standing by.
Red 9 standing by.
Red 2 standing by.
Red 11 standing by.
Red 5 standing by.
There we go. Oh, wait, hey. Welcome. About those Golden Knights. Fuck yeah. Oh, Riley Smith. Holy Mary, Mother of God. That was the Immaculate Conception last night. Oh, sorry, Oilers. Whew. We have a very nasty woman on tonight. This is the Mother's Day episode of The Rational Male. Yes.
That's nasty.
We're going to
It is
have
nasty,
the original
right?
nasty.
Ugh.
I know. It's funny. She still uses that too. I will have Jedediah Bila on today in probably about an hour. So, but first.
What happened the first time someone went through your phone?
I got a divorce.
You were married?
I was married and he went through my phone and yeah, I got divorced and I went with my baby daddy and now I have a baby.
Hey, what about you, babe?
I got broken up with.
Aww.
Yeah.
Okay, hey, that's it for tonight.
There's a little more recent.
Oh, really? Hey, so you're out here trying to heal, huh?
Yeah, we are.
Happy Mother's Day.
To tell you a little girl secret, oh my god, this one, I might literally get murdered the next time I'm seen on the fucking street. I will not leave my car for the next hours. I'm exaggerating, but your girl, if you are part of a friend group, your girl will stalk the whole friend group. Like when you guys first start talking and start getting to know each other, this woman will stalk your entire friend group to find out if there are women involved, right? To find out if there's girlfriends of guys, if there's just single ladies hanging around, whatever the case may be. But also, to scope out if they got the most attractive one out of the group. Because every girl wants to bag the most attractive dude out of the group, and every guy wants to bag the most beautiful girl out of the group, you know? So your girlfriend is 100% comparing you to your homeboys.
I feel like I just
To
took
see
a
who's
bath
more
in battery acid.
Do you want me to tell you how to know if she thinks you're the most attractive of the group? I could do that.
The next time you're wondering why men are not chivalrous anymore or overly romantic, I want you to remember this video right here.
The family matter and the truth for the matter. Here was God's plan to show y'all the liar.
She says, acted like I couldn't live without him while I was cheating the whole time. Now listen, I know most of y'all are going to get on here and say, oh, that's just one person. She doesn't represent most women. That would be true. However, look at the amount of likes the video got. 144,000 likes. Do you think it's men liking the video or it's women liking the video? And then I went to the comment section. Now look at this first comment right here. It's not cheating if you're not married. Over 3,000 likes. It's too dangerous to repost. Over 4,000 likes. So I'm imagining that young lady right there is in a relationship. So she's currently cheating on her man right now. I even cried when he accused me of cheating. Laughing emoji. 13,000 likes. So that means there's a strong possibility if you caught your girl cheating and you said she was cheating and she cried, the bitch was lying. Michelle was one of the few women on this comment section that pointed out the whole like behavior where she said it's not a flex. How many likes did Michelle get? 25. And y'all want men to think that y'all are loyal. Yeah, all right.
God save us all. Part 2, let's go.
Great.
One believes in holy forces, beyond against 5 deep forces. Oh, glory versus glory hole. The Holy Trinity versus the Trinity of hosts. One spreads forgiveness, the other one just spreads. One's plan B is repenting, the other's plan B is break fast. Oh, Lord, forgive me for my sin. Oh, God, put it back in. One is for Sunday morning, other for Sunday night. Yeah. One says Christ is coming, the other so am I. One swallows pride, the other swallows the whole state side. Someone's been nailed to a cross, the other nailed by a moss. One has hope in her
That's not helping.
soul, the other one has hope in her hole. The moral and the oral, holy grail versus holy rail. Hates abortions or AIDS abortions. One is forgiving and the other is forgiving. The Old Testament versus testing older men. One takes care of orphans, the other creates death.
How do I go to church tomorrow?
She's not a Christian!
Companies, I'm on to you. Why'd you take the sugar out? We like the sugar. I'm becoming increasingly suspicious of monogamy. Only kissing one person just doesn't seem that fun to me.
There's a trend that has popped up in the past 6 months to a year. I have officially named that trend lack of accountability porn. It's so transparent. It's so easy to pinpoint and pick out of all of the other ways that they're trying to manipulate young women. But surprise, surprise, music labels have found out that young women don't like taking accountability. The way that these songs basically go is, I deserve to smoke weed and be a loser because I'm a girl and a little princess. I deserve to be fat and morbidly obese. As long as I'm a girl, then that's okay. I'm sure throughout the years there has always been parts of pop culture that have taken advantage of women's infamous love for not taking accountability. But the one that kicked off this recent resurgence / trend of all of this is the I'm too messy and then I'm too fuddy. I'm being oppressed because someone told me that I smell like shit. I'm being oppressed because someone said that I stink and that my room is disgusting.
Faceless is funny.
Men who are more inclined towards long-term committed monogamous relationships, and there are men who are more committed to short-term hedonistic pleasure-seeking relationships.
I wonder who we could be talking about here.
All right, so now imagine you took these men and you analyzed their personalities, and you took these men and analyzed their personalities. Well, that's been done. The men who prefer short-term mating opportunities are psychopathic, narcissistic, Machiavellian, and sadistic. Right. But the terrifying
That's oddly specific.
thing is, and women should know this, is like the guys that are just out for a good time, they're not much fun. And they're a lot worse than you think. And the worst of them are so much worse than you think that if you ever got to look inside their mind, you would never recover.
I wonder what you could be talking about here.
And I'm not saying that lightly. It's not pleasant.
Listen to your father.
Go hook up with that person you shouldn't be hooking up with. Dating in your 20s is messy. Now is the time to give into the urges and desires so that later on you're not resenting yourself or somebody else for it. You need to stop feeling bad for it.
Wait, what was that about psychopathic and Machiavelli?
Who cares? We're all going to laugh about it. We're all going to die one day.
Make sure you sleep around in your 20s so you don't resent your no. This is not advice. This is a destructive mindset being pushed by broken women who want company in their dysfunction. That's like saying crash a few cars while you're young so you don't regret driving safe later. That doesn't make any sense. And I can't get over the fact that she says this with so much pride, like being emotionally detached is a flex. Sleeping around like this does not make you more powerful. It actually makes you more numb. It rewires your brain to avoid real connection. And one day when you crave something real, love, trust, stability, your brain's not going to know how to handle it because all it knows is temporary. A ton of people do this in their teenage years to their 20s and wonder why they have mental health issues. I did not choose to play that game. I took a different route and did not sleep around. Not because I'm better than anybody, but because I wanted peace and real love. And
yeah, that and you're not that attractive.
I have that now. Oh, but we're all going to die anyways. What does it matter? That's true. You're probably going to die first, though. So all I'm saying is this mindset is not bold. It's broken. You don't need more partners. You need more purpose.
You know what's funny is like people who have opportunity, have sexual opportunities, like they have sexual selectivity. Yeah. They have the girl's opinion of how that outlook on life. Guys who don't, or people who don't, tend to have his outlook on life. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why are so many women turning single?
Because women no longer need men to take care of them. They would like a man to love them for who they are. But women are also not as easy as they used to be. simply because they are not dependent. A man likes a woman that needs him. It feeds his ego. It feeds his masculine energy. But women are discovering their own masculinity now. However, the beauty is that a woman should stay in her feminine to be her best.
This is almost like to the letter what I said on fucking Dr. Phil. But it sounds so much better coming from with an Indian accent too. All right. I got to set this one up. Okay. This is Jake Monroe. And don't let the look fool you. The dude is smart as fucking hell, dude.
The song is called Ick. I'm going to talk about this whole ick thing. Have you seen the one with the guy with the ick list? He has like a list of icks, and it's like a ridiculously long list because modern women are absolutely ridiculous with their expectations of having a male partner. Because whenever you give in, or whenever you appease these ridiculous standards that women are imposing upon men, you let them think they can get away with doing this kind of stuff. That they can say, oh, well, now I can expect even more. Even though I'm a solid 5, I would like an 8 at least. But this 8 has to have these things. Women are presenting man with a problem, and a man is trying to fix it by trying not to do or be certain things. Look, you can say it's satirical and that he actually has no intention of changing any of these things, but what I'm saying is the implication is there, even if it is satire. What I would like to do instead is propose what would happen in the instance that a man has his own expectations of a woman. So here's a fun little exercise for my boys in the chat. Leave a lady ick. Let's have a look through, and perhaps maybe I'll do a video about it, and we can see how they respond. Do you think it's going to be rational?
Oh God, I love so like Jake Monroe. You can find him at The Real Monroe on Instagram. He's like one of my new favorite follows, and like don't let the look like throw you off. Like the dude has some really sharp takes. He's like a goth, but he's like a red pill goth if there is such a thing. And it's just like I have been watching a lot of his stuff, and I felt he deserved a little bit of love today. So last one.
There is nothing you'll do in life that's more challenging, difficult, and rewarding than being a parent. Nothing with
the last person on planet Earth that should be giving parenting advice is this motherfucker right here.
greater highs or lower lows. You have little kids for a very short period of time. It is a major mistake not to notice that and not to appreciate it.
Gee, how profound. I've never heard that before. Thank you for putting it that way.
We're dealing with a pattern of misbehaviors with our son, who's 3 years old. Whenever we want to leave the house, he starts running away.
We have to be places at certain times.
When a disciplinary issue arises, you need to make space to master it. I have to not do what I thought I was going to do for 10 minutes to set this right.
Our 13-year-old throws tantrums quite often when he doesn't get his way.
Sounds a lot like a certain daughter I know.
We spoiled the heck out of him.
When you spoil a child, so to speak, you take away from them the opportunity to develop their own competence by doing too many things for them. The consequences
Who is this motherfucker's Taylor?
Of his abdication of thought is that other people think for him. That's what'll happen.
Our daughter was bullied at her school.
As this is happening, our son turned to some substance abuse.
Look for mood changes and behavioral changes, and then you can tell your kid, look, it might be an unpleasant conversation that we have to have, but I'm not going to let you be miserable.
There we go.
And drift away.
Using benzodiazepine.
Discuss the disciplinary strategies. Discuss the rules. Discuss what it is that you want from your child. Talk that through so that you're the same person. The more effective you are in laying out these disciplinary rules, the more they'll like you.
Okay, that is more than enough. Yes, Jordan has decided that he wants to be a family counselor now instead of a clinical psychologist and a evolutionary psychologist and a, I don't know, behavioral psychologist and a dog trainer and God knows whatever else. Listen, people always have asked me, like, I tell you, remember like last week or the week before, and yes, of course I watched the thing where he was on Rogan, and then of course he started being very pro-Israel, right? And I don't care what your take is one way or the other about Israel. I got no dog in that fight at all. But the thing is like all it took was for him to say like one thing that's pro-Israel, and then everybody abandoned ship, man. Everybody who used to give me all kinds of grief for being sort of like critical, hypercritical of Jordan Peterson. Oh, you're professionally jealous of him, Rolla. Where's that now? Where is that? Somebody tell me, because like, is that all I had to do? Was like point out the fact that he's like a Zionist or whatever it is, and then you will throw him under the bus? Like, geez, I would have done that a lot sooner. Oh my God! Welcome to the Rational Male. This is the Mother's Day edition. I'll have Jedediah Bila in here probably in another like 40 minutes because she's a mudda. She actually is a mudda, and we're going to talk about some of that stuff today too. This was actually, I didn't plan it to be this way, but it just worked out this way. That she was hitting me up and she said, "Hey, we got to do a collab. I want to come on your show." Or I was already on hers. If you haven't seen that show, it's already on her channel. I did that a few weeks back. A month back, I think. I know Andrew Wilson's been on there. Mike Sartain is going to be on there. I know she's already interviewed Sterling Cooper. She's already interviewed Justin Waller. As you might guess, one of her. I'm surprised she didn't get Justin before me, actually. But I'm still trying to get her to come out here. Would you like me to give him flowers? Here's your flowers here you go. Yes, I have actually been on Undead Chronic's show before. Thank you. I don't know why I need to, but there you go. I like Undead Chronic. I have been on the show before, especially, let me tell you something. Okay, here, I'll give you your flowers. At least Undead Chronic had my fucking back when all that bullshit that I'm now 100% vindicated for about what's her name? Brittany Venti and Lauren Southern and Destiny colluding to try to fucking put me in jail, or to screw around with my fucking brand, or to find they couldn't find any dirt on me, so they decided to fabricate and create dirt on me. And I will say this, Undead Chronic had my back. So there you go. There's your flowers. Got it? Thank you. But I'm going to have Jed on here in just a little bit. You guys already know this. Yes, that's nasty. This is Jed.
It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty? Ugh.
But you already knew that, right? So quick announcements. I will be in Miami next week. So this show will be live from Miami on Sunday from my hotel room, probably. I'm also going to be doing, let's see, we're going to, Mike and I will be, starting Tuesday. Mike and I will be there. Sorry, this is what I get for drinking on the job. Mike and I will be in Miami on Tuesday. So let's see. We're going to be on the Danza Project, which is a pre-record. Friday last week, I was on Sean Kelly's show. So Sean Kelly's interview, my second interview with Sean, will be upcoming. I want to. He front loads a lot of his videos, so I would probably say it's more likely to be in June. Also, the docuseries or the documentary series that Mike and I did our interviews for, over a year ago, March of last year, is finally coming to light. If you haven't seen the trailer, I'll see if I can dig up the trailer. I can't show the trailer on this show because the trailer has naked ass in it. And I'm not going to take that chance because I know the first thing that happens, you're going to report me for a nudity strike. I am not going there. But it's called Lonely Fans is the title of the docuseries. And Sadia Khan, C-O-N, is in it as well. There's a few other, I want to say red pill notables or manosphere notables, although I wouldn't put Sadia in that category. But it's about the sort of social re-engineering of like the dating scene and intersectional dynamics, courtesy of OnlyFans. And it was going to be titled something else, like something about simping or something like that. I don't remember, but I guess they have decided in the year that they have been doing the post-production and everything else that they're going to call it Lonely Fans. So you can actually go and if Sam, if you want to go and pull up that link, you're more than welcome to do so and drop that in the chat for me. That'd be great. But it's called Lonely Fans. I know people are asking me where it's at right now. I'll see if I can grab it for you. Actually, you know what? I might have it. Hold on. I think it might still be in my my texts here. Oh, there it is. Okay, I do have it actually. Hang on. Here we go. Yeah, I promised him I would do this. I'm just gonna copy the link for you guys here, and I think this might do it. Is this it? Yeah. Okay. So I just put the link in the chat there. So if you want to see that, I'm in there for like a very brief second, but like I do have I'm featured pretty well in it. So is Mike. They even rented Mike a convertible, like 1972, like convertible Camaro. So I already have a Camaro, so like I'm good. But like they wanted to get Mike in a classic car. Don't ask me why, because I don't really. Mike's really a car guy, but anyways, it'll be really cool. I think you guys are going to dig on that one a lot, especially the OnlyFans aspect. It's very hypercritical of OnlyFans. Trust me. I think a lot of the guys who really want some sort of red meat about OnlyFans, this is probably your trailer. So also, as I said, there's G-strings and naked ass in it, so you have been warned. So there you go. Dude, do I have to like dump you? Really?
I got it.
Okay.
Put 'em on
It's like,
timeout.
Jesus Christ already, dude. Come on. It's like we're not even like 10 minutes into the show. So anyways, that's coming up. Miami's coming up, as I said. We'll be on the Danza project. We're going to be on Fresh and Fit, although it's probably going to be like Fresh and Us, because Myron is in New York City for most of next week. Although he did say Friday was a possibility. I have no more slots available for the fishing charter, I'm happy to say. So that is now sold out. If you snooze, you lose. So we're going to be going out on Captain Nelson's bill and office ship, fishing vessel, chartered fishing vessel. And don't know, it's not the SS Minnow. It's not a 3-hour, it's an all-day tour. And as far as I can see, they are catching billfish. I saw them. I've been patiently watching Captain Nelson's Instagram feed, and it looks like they're catching billfish. It looks like they're catching king max. It looks like it's going to be a pretty good day. So I will be broadcasting or live streaming from Instagram on that day as much as I can out in the middle of Biscayne Bay. And so that should be a good time. And then Friday we have a style counseling session between Jim Kilgore and my good friend Christian, who owns Jackson Maximus in Brickell in Miami. And so if you are part of Reignite and you are part of the group, that is coming up on that Friday. We also have a lot of other scheduled meetups and just hangouts and stuff like that. Well, there again, this is all casual. This is what we do in Reignite. We have fun. Actually, it's not just sitting around in some classroom taking notes and shit like that. We actually go out and do shit. So we'll be going and doing that on Friday, and then on Saturday, the 17th, that is going to be the White Party in Miami. It is now at Strawberry Moon, which I believe is still in South Beach. They just changed the venue about 2 weeks back. So that is also coming up on that day. And then Sunday, I will be doing this show. And then Monday, I fly back. So I will be gone for a grand total of almost 7 days. So that'll be fun. Anyways, so that's my thing. If you happen to be in the Miami area and you want to hang out or you want to just come by and say hi, just let me know. You can hit me up, DM me. And if I'm available, I'll be happy to come and sign a book or just hang out with you, shake your hand. So that is that. So boy, oh boy. I got a video to respond to, but I think I want to get into something a little more personal, something that just happened like a few hours ago, as a matter of fact. I went to church this morning. I went to my wife decided that she wanted me to go to the Mother's Day service at this church that she and my mother-in-law have been going to. And if you know anything about me and Mother's Day and churches, you've probably read my fourth book, because there's an entire chapter in there where I discuss Father's Day, Mother's Day, and sometimes Valentine's Day is on there too. Like when I was doing the research for religion, those were the days that I would specifically focus on, because those were like Mother's Day. I don't know if this is universal or whatever, but it maybe not in Catholic churches, maybe I don't know, Orthodox church. I don't know. But I will say this is that in sort of white bread, white America, evangelical, Protestant evangelical churches, they might as well make Mother's Day like a holiday. like there's Christmas, Easter, and Mother's Day. Those are the three most important like holidays in that church. And so I'm watching, and I'm I was telling Kyle before the show, my wife, like on Wednesday, she wants me to go. She wants me to go to this service. And to do that, I have to do my show prep for this show. I got to do it a day early, which I'm more than happy to do. It's okay. Just let me know so I can plan ahead. Right. So she's talking about, I don't know, maybe this is just how, because my wife, but also my daughter, my mother-in-law, my mom, other women I have known in the past, they start from that kind of indirect angle, right? Or that passive, I don't say passive aggressive, but it's like, it's never like, especially when it comes to things like religion, right? Or it could be like superstition. It could be chick crack too, right? But if you're going to ask me to go to a service or go to a religion, I'm probably fine with that. I just need to plan ahead, right? Don't start with, oh, but you'll never go. Probably not with that. I probably won't go. Like it's always this. It's always, oh, well, you'll never get around to it. Oh, you'll never do it. Oh, it'll never happen. Like it's this challenge, Yeah. It's like I throw down the gauntlet. You'll never do this. Well, not with that attitude, I'm not going to do it. But it's like ladies, if you've got a guy, and I realize this is a shit test, right? Yeah. So I 100% recognize, especially there's two kinds of shit tests. There's the passive shit test, and then there's the active shit test. Okay. The active shit test is when you're dating. Okay. When you meet a girl in a bar or something like that, or you just met her in a social circle or whatever it is, and she's trying to determine whether or not you are who you say you are. Like you're like, oh, are you really an attorney? You're not a sandwich artist for Subway. And it's those shit tests are way more playful, right? It's just sort of like to see, does he know how to play the game? Can he play back with me? Like, can we have this sort of, it's like this conversational like fencing match, thrust, parry, repulse, recover.
PvP.
Yeah, I'm glad you put it that way. I was Kyle came up with a really great one. But when women want you to do something, they start in PvP mode, player versus player mode, right? It's like boom, right? And instead of PvE, right? Player, like cooperative. Let's cooperate and play against the environment. So how do you do that? Hey, why don't we cooperate? Hey, would you like to go to church with me? Yes. Okay. I'm in. Let's go. Instead of, it would be great if you'd go, but you never will.
Instant wife aggro.
Why start there? Why start there? Why? I just don't. It would be so much easier, and there would be no problem, and there would be no bad feelings or something like that. Right? So I didn't say shit. I didn't say shit till like Friday of this week, and I remember I got back from Sean Kelly's show, and I came back, and I was like, and I'm going to prep for my show tomorrow, because she's asking me what's on the docket for tomorrow. I go, well, I got to do my show prep so I can go to the service with you, right? She's like, oh, you're gonna go? I'm like, yeah, even though you were mean about it 2 days ago. And she's like, well, and then of course it's my fault, right? Then it's like, well, you should want to go. How do I know that I want to go if you're not going to tell? Like, ask me. Like, I didn't even know there is. I didn't even know that there was something like that. Like, let me know what the event is. It's like very simple. It's like a 2-sentence conversation. But it always starts in PvP mode. It doesn't start in PvE mode. And I'm like, it would be so much. So, ladies, this is the lesson I learned. And I don't usually I'm giving advice. I understand that. I don't usually give advice. But I will in this time give advice to the ladies. Ladies, if you're in a relationship, if you're in a relationship with a guy, start in PvE mode, not in PvP mode, okay? seriously, just like experiment with it. Just start there. I mean, I understand some women get frustrated. Some guys, like, it's not like if she would have said, "Hey, would you please go? I'd love to have you there. I want to show you this new place I've been going to. Blah, blah, blah. I really like it." Okay. It just means I got to do. But the expectation is that I'm going to go, "Oh my God, what? Not again. Oh, jeez. What do you really want?" Like I'm going to like just roll over like a 4-year-old. Ah. If you're with a guy like that in the first place, you get out. Just get the fuck out. There you go. Yeah. I'm like, what's the deal? So I did go. Okay. And I'm glad I did, because I haven't been to church on a Mother's Day. I've been to church since, but I haven't been to a church on Mother's Day since I was writing the book. And I'm like, okay, I go in there with a preconception. I know what's going to happen. Of course, it's a guest pastor. And so like, it's completely like was all that conversation that led up to Sunday completely out the window now, because it wasn't the guy that she wanted me to see. Right. And so the guy, I'm going to tell you this story because I thought this was interesting. This is exactly what I've come to expect from churches like this. And again, I'm not shitting on the church. I'm not shitting on anybody's religion. I'm not shitting on a faith. I'm just talking about how the delivery. Can we just go with that? So I'm there, and as part of this guy, as part of the whole presentation, I don't say sermon, whatever it is, they do a video first, and hey, watch this video, this inspirational video. And it's a just sort of a general. They probably use this over. If I would gone last year, it'd probably been the same video, right? But it's this video of how much the church and God and everything, how much we appreciate our mothers, right? Okay, great. My mom was a lovable ditz, but I love my mom, and if you know anything about how my mom passed away, then you understand why I'm a little bit bitter about that shit. But anyways, I'm watching, and the one thing I notice is there's no dudes there's no men, there's no fathers, even just in the background, like, changing the oil in the car or something like that. Or even if they want to put them in like, it's not even a guy washing dishes, like in some like role reversal or anything like that. All it is just the maybe stock imagery of women who we presume are mothers, who are with mother and daughter, mother and son, mother and daughters, 2 daughters, right? Mother and there's only one son, right? And how appreciative we are of stepmothers, of single mothers, of mothers, of spiritual mothers, of aunts, and like just download. If there was a woman in your life and she was inspirational to you and she nurtured you and she loved you and everything, like, you're filling a role of the mother, right? Which is something I talked about when we talk about like it takes a village to raise a child. It's very egalitarian, okay? And so I didn't have a problem with that so much, but I'm just looking at the video. I'm like, is there like should we not be promoting like the family as well? Because all I hear from tradcon women these days is how much we need to like raise the birth rate and how much we want to promote the traditional sort of nuclear family unit. And again, I don't have a problem with that, but where the fuck is it? I'm like, I don't. I realize they're focusing on mothers and stuff, but you could put a dude in the background. You could put a guy who imply, anyways, that mom is married and that mom has an involved father also at some point. Because I will guarantee you, and I'm going to do this in the interest of science and everything else. I'm going to go to the Father's Day sermon, and I will give you my compare and contrast of episode, which I have done before in the past. I haven't done one in a long time, but I think this might have inspired me to do one. Because every time, like when I would go to like the Valentine's Day sermon, I would go to the Mother's Day sermon, and then I would go to the Father's Day sermon. The Father's Day sermon had one overarching message for the guys: do better. You're a fuck up. Women need you to do better. You're not living up to your full potential. And if mama ain't happy, God's not happy. And I will guarantee you that's going to be exactly the same kind of message that you're going to get from the Father's Day thing. Nothing has changed. I was telling Kyle before this, when I was doing the research for book 4, for my book on religion, those were the days that I would, I would specifically go to church on those days to see the, compare and contrast, right? And it's very stark, but you got to remember, I was doing that research back in 2017 and 2018. Nothing has changed. Like in 7-8 years, nothing has changed. So when people say, "Oh yeah, the church is being way more responsive to men's needs and masculine this and conventional masculinity," that, bullshit. It is the same fucking thing that it has been 5 to 7 to 8 years ago, and has not. And I'll probably argue as far back as 2010, probably. I know whenever I started tracking it, but I can guarantee you that that's probably where they're going to go. Now, that was story number 1. Story number 2 is during the service, the guy who's I guess the guest pastor, I don't know, was telling a story. And I'm just going to paraphrase this. I'm going from memory. I kind of wanted to do this while it was still fresh in my head. But he was talking about this instance that he had where he was, I don't know, he was working, or maybe he's part of the ministry staff or something like that. And his wife sent him this image, this picture, texted him this image of this picture, and it was of an armoire, right? And she showed a picture of it on the background screen, right? And it looked like something Liberace would have in his house. I mean, it was pretty crazy, man. It was like Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe, right? It had a big old mirror, and it was fucking huge, man. And it had like all this ornate kind of carved, woodwork around it and everything like that. And as the story goes, his wife had found this on Facebook Marketplace, right? Mm-hmm. And of course, we're in southern, southwest, Summerlin? We're in Summerlin, yeah, southwest Vegas. And apparently this thing was in like northeast, yeah. Which is not a good area for Vegas. And so, but the one thing that was interesting is when he was talking about this and he showed the picture, and she's just saying, "Oh, it's so nice. It was built in 1880, and this being sold by this older couple, and she'd done her homework and all this whole thing." But never once during the conversation did he mention, or did she mention, that she wanted this thing. I want you to buy me this armoire. Yep. Again, starting in PvP and not PvE. Okay. And so, but the presumption, the unspoken communication was, I really want this thing. And it reminded me of that one story where I've told this before, where my wife really wanted this day bed for my daughter, and I told her no. And at that point, it wasn't about the day bed. It was about the fact that I had said no, right? I was looking at this armoire, and I can't imagine this thing was any less than like $2,000, because it was magnificent. I will say this, it was magnificent. But so he's talking about this, and they go and they drive up to go and see the armoire, and they're talking to the people, and it checks out. They have like legit like papers that it was built in 1880. It's hand built, blah, blah, blah. And there was at one point during the conversation where the people, the couple that were selling the armoire to them, asked this pastor guy, they said, "What do you think about all of this?" And he said, and this is here it comes. Here's the punchline. He says, "I think whatever she thinks." And I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. I'm done with this, sir. That's all I needed to hear. I think whatever she thinks. If that's the case, what's left to listen to the sermon? Because that's mental point of origin is what that is. His mental point of origin is his wife. And then he goes on, he finishes the story by saying, then he puts upon his friends, because their truck won't fit this 9-foot tall armoire. It won't fit in his truck. So now he's got to find a buddy with a trailer. He's got to go hit up some friends, because it's heavy as fuck, because it's a real wood thing, right? And so now not only does he think what she thinks, now he has to, and it was never mentioned like, I want to buy this thing. Now his purchasing this is putting upon his friends to help him move this thing, put it on a trailer, and take it back to their house, which then, of course, he shows the final picture of the armoire in his house. they have nowhere to put it. There's no place. There's no like good. There's feng shui. There's no place to put this thing that it looks like it belongs in the house. And so what do? They put it in front of a window. That is like that. I don't know about you. Maybe it's my interior designer in me or the feng shui in me. Never cover a window. Never fucking cover a window ever, because you're paying for that sunlight to come through there. I want to have like if I have a nice home with some windows in it, I want some natural light to come into my house.
As we cover our windows.
Never. Yeah. Well, we have to in the studio. I know. We have to control the lighting in here, but never do that. And I was like, so not only do you think what she thinks, you put upon your friends to get this, abomination into your house, and now you don't even know where to put it. I'm like, just that story right there. Now, granted, this is a guest pastor, so I can't say this is what the whole church is about. So, but obviously, but again, all it did was reconfirm everything I ever put in my fourth book, which was there's nothing for men in the modern church. There's absolutely nothing. And so when people ask me, and I'm just going to give it to you straight here, when people ask me like, Rollo, it doesn't sound like you believe in. You must be into Odinism. You have a Mjolnir on your, like, that's my heritage. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Do I believe in the All Father? Yes, actually I do. I play Space Wolves. Yes, okay. No, but the thing is like people people presume that I'm like an atheist or something. I'm not. Go and all you have to do is read chapter 14 of my fourth book, which is religion. And no, I'm not going to give you the abbreviated, abridged version of that. I didn't spend 3 years of my life so I could hold your hand and walk you through it. But I don't, quite honestly, I don't know where I fit. I have a faith. I definitely do. You can go read the book, but like when I listen to shit like that, it doesn't really make me want to be a part of that, because I can't align with that. I can't align with, like, remember when I said this? Like, yeah, I've said this on Access Vegas. I've said this with Mike Sartain. I might have said it on this show a couple times too. Is one of the things that I look for in a business partner is not so much like his business acumen, which is very important. Don't get me wrong, but how his personal relationships go with his wife or his girlfriends or whatever like that. And I learned that the hard way from working in wine and spirits for as long as I have, because there are people in there who would go through nasty divorces, and then they would have these great ideas, which would have been great brands for different brands of alcohol and stuff like that. But nobody wants to give seed money. Nobody wants to be an angel investor. Nobody wants to have to jump into business with this guy, because the guy got took for half of his assets in a really nasty divorce, which impacted the business. So why would I want to be involved in a faith where the guy is saying, I think what she thinks? No, dude, no, bro. Like first of all, that's on you. That's a personal flaw on you. And then second of all, it's like, that's not a really good ambassadorship, I guess, for whatever faith it is that you're hawking. So I did learn. I'm glad I went. Because it just reconfirmed a few things that I reconfirmed some presumptions that I had. So and again, I'm not shitting on religion. I'm not shitting on. I think the faith is completely set apart from all of that. But like, again, the delivery. Do I want to be part of this guy's flock? No, I have no interest in being part of your flock, because you're not the one leading the flock, because you think what she thinks. So you're going to say, well, what should I do, honey? About the flock. No, thanks. Let's see. On my way to work today, I walked past a chick with a shirt that says, if you bring up my past, Jesus dropped the charges. Just perfect. Yeah. Well, that's funny you should say that, because that was one of the things I put in religion, which was the reason why women tend to be more drawn to Christianity is because it is based on forgiveness. No other religion really can make that claim. Like if you're absolved of your sins, it's like you just say one prayer and repeat this mantra long enough, and then you don't have to worry about your past anymore. Fuck yeah. I mean, that's how awesome is that? You don't have to do any works. You don't have to atone for anything. You're completely sinless for it anyways. Of course Is it any wonder why women are drawn to traditional conservative Christianity or whatever it passes for it these days?
Same thing Martin Luther exposes.
Yeah.
Paying for your sins to get out.
Exactly. And again, like if you look at Islam, hell, you look at Judaism, you look at certain branches of Hinduism, Sikhism, like there's you've got to have, there's got to be some sort of atonement, right? Or instead of just like this blanket forgiveness. And I'm not saying that there's anything necessarily wrong with that, but I do understand that that's the appeal. So yeah, Jesus paid the price. Okay, I 100% agree. And I also understand how convenient that is when you're someone like Nala Fit, or Eva Lovia, or I don't know, Riley Reid, or whatever that, or Mia Khalifa, although I think she pretends to be a Muslim these days. Yeah. With Andrew Wilson, Myron, and Kevin Samuels, you realize Kevin is no longer with us, right? And a year ago, 2 years ago now. Gosh, has it been 2 years? What is it about a man holding? God, remember that? I remember when Kevin Samuels died, and it was like the Friday before Mother's Day, and all these bitches were like, "Oh, it's an early Mother's Day present from the Lord." I was like, that is some fucked up. I don't care how much you hate him. That is some fucked up shit. And that says a lot about your whole belief system right there, man. That like love him or hate him. I don't care what your opinion is or was on Kevin Samuels, but when I can still show you. I remember the podcasts that women were doing, like emergency podcasts. Kevin Samuels dies. Yay. That they were like happy he was gone. I was like, damn, that's what they really think about you.
Evil.
Yeah. What is it? I don't use that word lightly. What is it about a man holding a woman accountable that's so engaging to women? Some girls come on them. Okay. Men holding women accountable, but you know why? Because it's what's called purple cow theory, right? It's like something like there's a ocean of or a herd of brown cows, and there's one purple cow, and that purple cow sticks out. Well, why? Because he's the one who says, no, bitch, you need to be held accountable. And it's not even so much that, like, I think women get drawn to that because it's just something out of the ordinary. I can remember back in the early pickup artist days when everybody was talking about, oh, should you buy a woman a drink? No. And so what do? They flip the script. Why do neg hits work? Why does backhanded compliments work? Why does flipping the script work? Like, and that means like, why don't you buy me a drink? That kind of stuff. Or because women are so used to a certain behavior set from guys, like they're beta orbiters who want to like buy them drinks, buy them food at restaurants, do all this other stuff. So they get used to like that sets the meta, right? The meta is guys are going to simp for me. And when you run into the guy that won't, that's the one that draws the attention. It's the same dynamic between Andrew Wilson, Myron, and old Kevin Samuels, anyways, is because it broke the meta, and that's why women are attracted to it. And women are very much drawn to indignation. And if you've read my first book, you will understand. Like I have a whole chapter on indignation. If women can't find indignation, they will create it for themselves. That's why you get like daytime talk shows. Is he a cheater? That's triggering and stimulating that need for indignation. And if you don't give it to them, somebody else will. Hello, Rollo. I'm about to give the rational male preventive medicine to my mom's boyfriend. My mom's boyfriend, friend's father. Okay. I'm trying to track with that. My mom's boyfriend's friend's father. Okay. He's suicidal and won't, and I want to make sure it's okay. You could give him that. I would start with the first book because I think you would understand the concepts better in the first book. But yeah, I think it's great. Please do. I mean, God knows I've had so many guys tell me that they had plans to off themselves and they canceled those plans because they came across my first book. I would give them the first book first. The second one is built around a timeline. It's about what you can expect from women at various stages of their maturity. So, and I'm not saying that's a bad idea, but give them both, please. Buy two books. But I would definitely give them the first book first. Medium is the message. PVE, Chad. PvP, beta. Yes. PvP. If you play, yes. If you play along, yes. That's a brilliant analogy, by the way. PvP. God, I'm gonna fucking save that. Damn, Kyle's on his game today, man.
I have to.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's see. Rolo's wife brought him to church. That checks out. It always takes a woman to bring the devil to the church. Yes, I know. Gosh, I know. Got all itchy. They just throw holy water on me. It's gonna burn. Is that how it works? Yeah. Sunlight. It's like the orcs and they gotta walk in the shadows. That's what vampires have to do. They have to walk in the shadows. Yes. We should have Jed should be coming on in the next 5 minutes or so here. But anyways, I wanted to point that out because I kind of wanted to get my Mother's Day works out first here because I think am I jaded? I hate it when I because I've done this before. I've done these topics before anyways. And sometimes like when I do topics that I've hit on in the past and I'm catching I'm glad I can sometimes get new spins on topics. But I'll tell you, man, the like rehashing stuff sometimes it's just like it's inspirational to talk when we talk about PvP, PvE. I was actually a stroke of genius, quite honestly. But whenever I'm talking about this stuff, I feel because I catch myself, I'm like, God, am I like that jaded? Am I really that like bad? Because I don't see anything changing. Like when I talk to, I've had guys recently hit me up, and if I go and I post a picture of myself, like I just recently posted a picture of myself on Instagram, people, like I said, I get to the point where I can't post a shot of me without it being a flex. So I go in knowing that somebody's going to go, "Oh man, you think you're so great." But I had these guys, like I was just recording with my band Jinx on was it Friday? Yeah, Friday evening. And I just took one quick picture and I threw it up on Instagram, and everybody thinks that like I shouldn't be doing anything except for this right now, like writing another book and talking real shit, right? And I'm happy to do that. That is what I do. But guess what, guys? I do other shit too. I actually can play a guitar. I actually can write songs. Another thing, I do art. I paint models. I paint miniatures. I paint like canvases. I draw quite a bit. It's just something that's sort of therapeutic for me right now. I write. I'm an artist, and I have a lot of different mediums. Some of them I'm good at. Some of them I suck at. I'm a master of all trades. I'm a jack of all trades. I'm a master of some. I didn't say I was good at everything, right? But I love how everybody's like any spare moment that I'm not like fuck all these bitches, you know, or if I'm not. Where is it? Oh, hold on a second. Let me see. Oh.
Tell these bitches to go to hell.
Like if that's not me, like every minute of the day, then it's a wasted minute, right? Can you please do an episode with Michael Sartain on Patrice O'Neal with his friend Dante? People will pay. I wouldn't be looking for pay for something like that, but that's okay. He, like you, saved my life. Oh, good. I'm glad because like Patrice O'Neal, I would say like if I look, whenever people have hit me up about Patrice O'Neal, it's usually accusatory, right? It's usually, well, Patrice hit on that long before you ever did, bro. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I've put it in my books. I've talked about it before. I 100%. Hey, you know, ups, right? Same thing with
Dump that bitch.
Same thing with Tom Likas, right? I give Tom Likas hates my fucking guts, by the way. Just so you all know, he's made it very, very clear on a few different occasions that he calls me that poser or something in Reno. He doesn't know I live in Vegas now. I've said from day one that Tom Likas has been an inspiration. I would say Patrice O'Neal and Tom Likas are proto Red Pill. They were before their time. And I think that if Tom Likas hadn't lost his shit like the way he did, he lost his terrestrial radio show. I think he had a non-compete agreement, and so he was out of the game for a long time. That really fucked up his brand. And then he got really super political, and maybe he thought that was the next wave or where he's going next, and it really wasn't. I kind of feel bad for Tom because I think he was onto something. He was just ahead of his time. And same thing with Patrice. And I think if Patrice O'Neal had lived, he would be a much bigger influence in the manosphere, red pill space than anywhere else. I look at him and then I look at guys like Matt Rife right now, who I think Matt Rife is definitely red pill. He just doesn't want to like say that he is. But
he's appealing to his female audience.
He is. When women ask you to buy them drinks, I've suggested saying, "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you're on the clock," and walk away. Women that ask you to buy them drinks are strippers. Not all of them, but yeah, okay, I get it. Well, here's one woman who I know is not a stripper.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
I was like, am I going live right away? How does this work?
Yes,
I'm not tech savvy.
This is how I work. Yeah, you're not used to a live situation, are you, Jed?
Not only that, but I have this beautiful team because, I'm not good with tech. I'm female. So in case anyone didn't know, let's be honest about that. But I have this amazing team and they don't work on the weekends. So I was like, Ben,
where's my laptop?
I was like, what do I do? And my husband's in here, like, fixing everything like he always does. But I'm like, man, alive. If it was just me, I definitely, let's just say this interview wouldn't be happening because I wouldn't be able to find my way here. So
it's very casual. All you have to that's the beauty of StreamYard is all you really need is a laptop, Chrome, mic, and headphones, and you're pretty much in.
Though you underestimate my ability to destroy anything tech related. I mean, even a cell phone could be, let's just say things could go awry.
How many guys do you have running your studio?
So we have the whole studio set up. I have one guy who records with me because I pull up all these clips and I don't want to have to do that. Right. And I'm always afraid things are going to break mid show. So I have one guy that sits and record. He's remote. He's not here. And he'll sit with me we'll record one day a week for like an hour and a half. And that's awesome. And then that gets passed over to a production team that takes it and creates a show. Like they put a tease in the intro if you've seen it, and then I'm very careful about saying do not edit anything that unless we something goes down and there's like us trying to figure out, can we access this clip? I don't want the content. I want it to be raw and real. So I'm like, do not edit. We roll everything. If we tape an hour and 2 seconds, we roll an hour and 2 seconds.
Oh wow.
And they package it. It's all like a live show basically. Including me talking to the plants and doing sorts of crazy shit.
Take notes, Kyle. Take notes here.
And then
I have one dude.
No, they package it. It's really one guy with a small team, and and then they roll it out for me. They roll it out on YouTube, Apple, everywhere that Rumble, Spotify, everywhere. So yeah, and then I have a socials guy who takes that and then he pummels social media right now because you realize I took 2 years off.
Yeah.
So I kind of showed up again and I'm like, hello, I don't know. I didn't honestly, I'm very happy with how it's been going. I didn't know. I figured maybe people aren't going to give a shit about Jed right now, but
no. I was just going to say is like, in case you guys don't know who Jed is, that she's responsible.
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty?
That has been the most favorite sound drop I've had for like probably the last 5 years.
As it should be. Who's laughing, by the way, in the background? Is that your
producer Kyle's with me in the background here.
See, I like that. I don't have that. I don't have
the back and forth. Yeah.
I like that.
Bounce ideas off each other.
People are trying to get that.
Totally become part of the show. So
yeah, people are writing me all the time, like, Jed, I want to be like a sidekick, or so that I may get that at some point because I do miss that when I do miss that. But everybody should go. By the way, before we start yapping, which we will. The channel is at Jedediah Bila Official. That is the channel. I get a lot of emails like, Jed, is it the old channel? No, I'm not affiliated with that old channel. That's not my channel. It was never my channel. Jedediah Bila Official. If you want to see me wreck feminism and go after all these girls and all that fun stuff that we do, that's where you got to go.
Yeah. I think a lot of people especially recently, like since you're coming back, like I've been boosting you on Twitter a lot. Of course, I've always boosted you on this show, but I knew you were coming back. I was like, she will be back. She can't stay away that long. So, so when I've talked about I've used you as the topic on certain shows just to just for sake of example and stuff like that. But as I said, I never lost faith. I knew you were going to come back at some point along the way. But I think right now, since you're reintroducing yourself and you're kind of like relaunching your brand, a lot of people are like, "Who the hell is this bitch? You know, what's she talking about?" Like, I had to check Myron because like Myron was like, who is this? Like, I'm like, you know who Jed is? She was at Value Tape. She was, you know, with that old crew and everything. And then like because people who weren't, you know, who aren't paying attention, don't keep up with stuff like that. And so that's what I was really I was trying to like make sure that everybody sort of like remembers like what you were about and what your delivery is. You're the Joan Rivers of the manosphere. This is in my vernacular anyways. You're the mob wife. You're the red pill mob wife.
I am kind of a mob wife, crazy Sicilian girl. And my grandma, who lived till 102, was really someone who just told it like it is. You know, she didn't mince words. And I just believe in tough love and calling it like it is. And that's it. So it's a very raw, it's not for everybody. It's very raw. It's very honest. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's not. The goal is obviously to have everyone, you know, improve themselves, right? I'm not trying to, people say, "Oh, do you hate women?" I'm like, I am a woman. No, I don't hate women, you know, but my goal is for women to wake up. You know, I certainly made a lot of mistakes in my life. I'm not super young. I'm in my 40s. I made mistakes. There's things that worked out for me. Like, yeah, I got married. I have an amazing husband. I have an incredible child. It worked out for me.
She's also a mother for
I'm a mom.
Mother's
I'm a
Day.
mom. It's my most important job, but it very easily could have not worked out for me because I swallowed a lot of the crap. So my goal is like, hey, ladies, you know, I have a lot of friends where it didn't work out for them and they're really depressed and struggling. And I wish somebody would have shaken me and all of us in our 20s. So my goal is like, if I can shake literally like these women and one of them wakes up, that's like a good day's work for me. And I also talk to the guys because I think, you know, sometimes the guys feed a lot of this crap. We can get into that too, whatever you want to talk about. But yeah, I am back. I was, if people are wondering where I went to, I was raising my kid. I was I meant to step back for a few months when we left Florida and I parted ways with that other business partnership, which just wasn't a fit for me. No hard feelings, no animosity, just wasn't for me. And I meant to come right back in. And then all of a sudden I really sank into not having to work for the first time really in my life, even though a podcast, you know, the way I was doing it really wasn't, I wouldn't call that like a full-time job, but still I was like, you know what, I'm going to sit in this. I'm going to figure out where we want to live. And I'm going to, you know, I'm just going to be a mom for 2 years and have nothing else to think about. And then I saw a lot of crap going on and so few women really just tell the truth in this space or any space that I see online. And there's so much like, I saw you sometimes you would post these women and it sounds like they're lecturing guys, like they're at a pedestal and they know better. And it's like, listen, there was one video, I don't know who it was, but she was like, I used to really be involved in this content, but I'm really starting to see the ugly side of it. And I was just like gagging at home. And I'm like, this is why guys don't want to date anymore because of women. Like you can't speak to men like it's, ugh. So I was like, okay, I got to get back in. So I get it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people also have to know your background too, because you used to be on The View, and you used to and you used to do commercial. Used to do commercial TV. I mean, used to be on Fox. Was it
Fox and Friends?
Fox and Friends as well. Yeah. So I think that was actually one of the first questions I asked you too when I met you at the old place.
Yeah.
I'm glad we don't even mention it by name anymore.
I mean, just because to confuse people, they're already confused with the channels, and because so I just don't. But I'm somebody really who, listen, my experience at The View when I worked there was nice. When I went back, they wanted me to come and host a bunch to interview. They were interviewing new hosts, and I was like, "Oh, sure, I'll come on," you know. And then the whole jab thing happened, and it was a fiasco. I was like, I would never sit with you hens again. I call them like the cackling hens. I would never do that to myself again. And I just made a decision about that. But I'm one of those people when like when I leave, I'm like, I wish you well. Do what you got to do, but it's not for me. So I'm not a trash talker.
Yeah, I'm beginning to see the value in that these days too, because I don't know. Mike Sartain will be the first one to tell me to shut the fuck up. But I'm trying to be more. I guess I think working with Mike has made me a little bit more diplomatic. I think. I mean, sometimes like if people come at me, then I'm going to hit back. But it's like I'm not going to throw the first punch these days.
Yeah.
No,
Mike, by the way, was on. We just taped with Mike. Mike's going to be on the channel. Mike's going to roll out this week, actually, and then we've got Andrew Wilson the next. We've got a whole cast. I really
some of the clips coming out with Andrew too. I got questions about Andrew. By the way,
oh, that was I'm
pretty sure I know what you talked about. I'm pretty sure Mike talked the whole time on your show.
Mike was so funny. And I grilled him a little bit because apparently Mike has like a zillion female friends. And I was like, what is going on with that?
Zillion is a conservative estimate.
I'm like, what's happening there? You know, we talked a little bit about Mike's escapades, you know, let's call them that. But yeah, Andrew Wilson was intrigued. The Mike interview was a good one. And he's just such a lovable guy. He really is.
He's great. Yeah.
So
I love him like a brother. In fact, we're going to be spending some time in Miami this upcoming week too. And it's always great to go out there and just do shows. Like, we'll be on Fresh and Fit. We're going to go to Dan's project. We got probably some other irons in the fire too, but it's always good. It's always good to like when I see Mike, it's usually for Access Vegas or we're doing like an interview with somebody, right? Like that. Yeah. It's all business and stuff like that, but it's just fun to like just go do stuff with. We were in San Diego like 2 weeks ago for the Bunny Ball. And we didn't even plan it this way, but like we both wore basically the same outfit to the Bunny Ball. We're in black suits and we had a white tie, and he did this like exactly the same thing. And I'm like, I don't know how we figured this one out. Like, we must be turned into chicks or something here because we're now coordinating our outfits. And we actually had because he didn't have his crew with him and I didn't have my crew. It was just us solo the whole time. And so we just hung out the whole
that's awesome.
Yeah. It was a good time. But yeah, it's really good to work with him. No, I was going to say is like, I can remember a time like when, like, I think it was when I first did your show in Fort Lauderdale. And I asked you about what it was like going from being on commercial TV, like The View, to doing podcasts, because it's a different form of media. And like right now we're doing a live stream and you record all your stuff. I just did Sean Kelly's show on Friday. Sean front loads all of his interviews. He'll do like an hour interview and he will seriously go and like burn through like 20 interviews in the space of like 2 or 3 days. And he's done for the month. Right. And then his revenue model is based on ad revenue. Like he's been putting ads in and stuff like that. I presume that's where you're going with that. When we've gone kind of from when I do long form content, I do long form and then I take clips out of it and then I put it on my clips channel and stuff. So like I'm doing one long show per week and that's how I have worked it. But I think really there's been a change, sort of a paradigm shift in YouTube recently. Where the gravy days of making a lot of money off of super chats is pretty much gone because either the saturation of like the shows and the market and stuff like that. Yeah. But also, quite honestly, I think YouTube has shadow banned or has installed like things into the algorithm where like certain people who are my constant super chatters can only super chat up to a certain denomination level, and they'll cut you off at like you can't do more than $20, right? Oh, interesting. You want to do 100, it won't go through. You want to do 50, won't go through. You want to do 20, good to go, right? Okay. And so honestly, I see them using that as like YouTube and the powers that be, whatever, are using that as sort of a way to get you to quit. You know, to get you to stop. That's why you see all these guys doing like these super long podcasts right now. Yeah. Brian from whatever.
I can't listen.
It's pushing 10-hour podcast.
No, and listen,
time and a half.
With Brian, people were asking me because at one point I was covering whatever podcast a lot, and people were like, "Why aren't you on there?" And I said, "Because we had gone out. We were maybe 10 minutes from their studio. We took a vacation, and Brian said to me, "Oh, you want to come on?" For 10 hours. And I was like, I have a 5-year-old. Like, I don't miss his bedtime for anything. People think I'm insane. Like you don't see me unless the kid is around. Like he's attached to my hip and I want it that way. I love him so much. And I said, Brian, I can do like 2 hours, maybe 3, but I can't sit for 10 hours. And he was like, oh no, I really need you for 10 hours. I was like, I can't do it. You know, I can't do it. But yeah, man alive. He just 10 hours. I mean, it's all night long.
Well, and then you see like a lot of these, like I know Myron and Fresh have done this, Pearl's done this recently, where they're doing these membership drives. And they're doing these subscription drives and doing 4 or 5 hour podcasts to encourage people to subscribe to the channel, right? Because that's really the only way to make money, right? And if you're doing long form content anyways, it's really the only way to make any kind of money off of it is to have people be like subscription based. And I thought about that. I was on with Sean Kelly and we were actually discussing this, and I was like, that's kind of silly for like, I don't do this. I do this show as sort of outreach. Like I want to let people know what I'm doing. I like just to blow my, mouth off all the time. But the idea of making money off of YouTube right now is diminishing rapidly, particularly for this niche. If you're in the manosphere, if you put hashtag red pill, you put hashtag manosphere, you put hashtag feminism, you put whatever it is, the algorithm flags that like almost instantaneously.
Interesting.
And so you're going to get either shadow banned, you're going to get ratioed, something like that. And really what they're trying to do is they can delete my channels anytime they want to, or they can, like they've demonetized my Access Vegas channel, but they can't do that like en masse. And so this, at least as far as I'm, my understanding is they're trying to get you to quit. They're trying to make it so it's not worthwhile for you to do it anymore. Because honestly, like I have a Substack channel. If I'm going to base my revenue on subscription dollars, like it's $9.99 to subscribe to me on Substack. I have more subscribers on Substack than I do on YouTube. And so I'm putting out 3 or 4 articles a month on Substack for more money than I would make on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's like, so what's the point? Well, the point is that I want to be able to put out, I want to be able to talk to people direct. I want to be able to, make announcements. I want to be able to like actually, sort of hash out things. And I just have a good time doing it too. So I'm not going to stop. But honestly, I think like from the time that you and I started, when we knew each other back in 2022, like it was like June or July of 2022. Then we have, I think we've seen this sort of paradigm shift going from like the glory days of like Fresh and Fit, where they were making $120,000, $150,000 a month off of just super chats to nothing. And now we've got to find some way to recover that with revenue. And they don't have Substack to cover that as a membership. So like I'm looking at it right now from the perspective that they want you to quit.
But that's that's the same game that happens in cable news. I mean, I come from like mainstream TV, cable news and network TV, but it's kind of the same game where if you're saying something that you're not supposed to be saying, or if they feel like you're a threat, they'll try to force you out. They don't want to fire you because if they fire you, they have to pay you out, right? Like I had to get paid out for a certain amount of time at The View. I had to get paid out for a certain amount of time at Fox and Friends Weekend because it sucks. But if there's no cause to get rid of you and they just want to shut you up, that's how it works. So they try to force you out first by making life absolutely friggin' miserable.
Like cutting back your hours until it becomes or
suddenly like you're on your own show, but you're not invited to a segment and you're like, but I co-host the show. Oh, why am I absent? Because they're afraid of what I'm going to say, that I might actually say like a truth nugget in there or something that an advertiser, a pharmaceutical advertiser doesn't like, or something that a donor doesn't like. So it's kind of the same game like on YouTube with the shadow banning and the attempts to make it really hard for people to make money so that then it just weeds people out. People get tired. I mean,
well,
what I do actually
about it, you can see who's about it and who's not.
Who's about it, who's creative, right? Because you have to get creative. Like
now you have to work.
And I like Facebook for financial stuff too. Like we post a lot on Facebook. I have a social media guy that runs Facebook, and that can actually be really lucrative in itself, Facebook, which I learned. But I see it all. I mean, I've heard this a lot from I had a conversation with MLD a while back, and he was like, oh, I don't know, how it's going to be when you come back in. And I was like, listen, I'm doing this because I like it. And I'm not worried about, for me, I'm not the breadwinner. Like it just doesn't matter that much if I make money at all. But it's fun to make money. We have some sponsors that we roll in for the show, and I'm optimistic. I think it's unique, and we'll see. I mean, could I get shadow banned? Sure. Could I get banned? Can I get demonetized? I'm sure all these things could happen to me, but we'll figure it out. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I was going to say is I think a lot of people who got into this back in like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, now you have to work. Now it's work, and it's getting I forget the guy who was one of these guys who like podcasts about podcasts. It was saying something like, now this is your 9 to 5. Like it's suddenly become like it's like lifestyle creep. You get to a point where you like live a certain lifestyle because you could afford it, doing your podcasts, doing your memberships, doing this, whatever. And now it becomes incrementally harder and harder to do. And it's your 9 to 5. Like I always joke, I say, I do have a boss. My boss is Jeff Bezos. Right. I mean, I sell my books on Amazon. He owns Amazon. So therefore, you're still technically working for somebody else. Nobody is anti-fragile. I love that bullshit. Like, you got to be anti-fragile. No one is anti-fragile. Like eventually you're going to be dependent on something else, or you're going to have to put your, like, are you doing this because it's paying a good chunk of change for you? Or are you doing this because it's just the new hotness? And now I think that the people who have built these lifestyles around an old revenue stream are having to work harder and harder to maintain that lifestyle because it crept up on them. Now it's like, well, now I can't afford 4 cars. Now I can only afford 2 cars, right? Or now I can only do the show every other day instead of, every single night kind of thing. And there's probably a certain amount of burnout that goes along with that too. But or maybe your podcast goes from being a 4-hour podcast to a 10-hour podcast.
See, I'm not willing to do all that. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I'm not willing to work that hard. I did those days of working in media, and even that's not really hard work, to be honest. I've never been wired to be a super hard worker. I really enjoy my downtime. My hormones really like to be at peace. So I'm not willing, my husband knows, like, if this catapults and does amazing and great. And if it doesn't, I'll just be talking to, I'll be having fun with it right now in this moment. So it's
I like to do it. I like to walk. This is our studio. You're going to come to Vegas.
That's your Vegas studio you're in.
Yes, this is the Vegas studio.
Yeah.
This is not, well, I live in Vegas too, so I have a home studio, but this is Red One. This is me and Miguel Munoz and Charlie's baby here. This is where we do Access Vegas and our interviews and stuff like that too. But so we've got, how many cameras we got running today? What, 4? Something
right now we have 4.
Yeah, so it's a fairly pro situation.
Yeah. Oh, look at you showing off. We usually have 2, but I just one off today.
Hey, where's the bicep? Okay, do the bicep cam. We have the bicep cam too. Yes. So we have the full body shot.
It's not a bad look.
It's working.
People only see the top half of me, and I'm always like, I think my legs are my best asset. It's a shame, but it is what it is. It's true. Everybody's got like a body part about themselves that they like. I'm like, I feel like I have good legs, but
it's funny is like whenever I go to Fresh and Fit, like people only see me from like the chest down, right? I mean, unless I'm doing one of these kind of things, like people like they don't. And then I get on Fresh and Fit, and like I'm on a tank top or something. Whoa, Rollo got yoked all of a sudden. Like, it's not all of a sudden. It took a long time to do this. It took a long time. And then I know what I was on with Sean Kelly on Friday, and we took a picture after the show. Sean Kelly is like pushing 7 feet tall. That dude is like, he's got to be like 6'8" or something like that. I stand next to him. I'm 5'11". I look like 4'11". I like people like, oh, I knew it. He's short.
Imagine me standing next to him. I'm literally like a style munchkin,
Yeah, that's great. But I've always liked sort of our relationship together. I love you, but I can remember a time when we were on, I think it was our first or our second interview, and we were starting to talk about like Myron and Fresh. We were talking about Andrew Tate. We were talking about like the red pill in general. And there was a time where you were kind of like, you're kind of like on the fence, like you didn't know what to think about it or anything else. And then you kind of pushed off from that, and you kind of leaned over into the material that you're doing right now, which like when you came back, I was like, I wonder if she's still going to do the same stuff, or is she going to get into like holistic medicines
And you know what's
get into
funny?
the jab and politics and social stuff. And to your credit, you've remained pretty true to the message. I'll give you that.
I really care about this stuff, like from the heart. I didn't intend to do this originally. When I first launched a podcast way back when, I guess, what are we, like 4 years? I was going to do politics because that's what people knew. I didn't want to do that though. I never wanted to do politics. I fell into political TV by accident. I couldn't stand it. It was something that I never wanted to be, like a TV anchor. Like I just didn't want to do any of that. It all felt so phony, and I wasn't really into politics. But it became like how I grew this audience, and I was like, now all these people are going to feel abandoned. Let me do some politics. I'm really into health and wellness. That is true.
Yeah.
That is something that I live and breathe. So I don't know. Maybe that will be peppered in a little bit. But this dating stuff is really interesting to me. I really enjoy it. I can't believe what some of these crazy batshit women are saying. I can't believe what's happened to women. I'm kind of stunned. Like the dynamics between the sexes it's a genuine interest. So I think what people see is that I'm really passionate about it because it's real. You know, what's really interesting, one of the people that's always asked for on the chat, I always say, like, who do you want to hear from? And of course, some of it is like Rollo and Sterling and Justin and Andrew Tate, and all of those people, by the way, will be on the show. Andrew actually was supposed to be on. I was going to relaunch this from Montana. We moved to Montana for a while. I was freezing. I thought I was going to die. I actually was so fragile in my femininity. I thought I was going to die. I'm not kidding. I said to my husband, you got to get me out of here. And we wound up moving. Andrew was going to come on remotely. He wanted me to go to Romania. And I was like, I can't, my kid's too small. And he was like, I'll do it remotely. And I had to pause that because I was like, we're leaving, we're moving. I don't want to tape this and then not launch for like a year. This is not going to make sense. I want to do what's current with you. So he will come on. He just wants to do it in person now. So I said, when you come to Texas, but you know, Sterling and Justin and all those folks will come on. But one of the people that people really want to hear from is that priest who did the exorcisms. I interviewed a priest who did exorcisms, and everyone's like, Jed, you got to get the priest. And I'm like, are you guys kidding? Like in the midst of Rollo and Sterling and Justin, you want to hear from a priest? But I don't know. Maybe he can exorcise your demons, Rollo. Who knows? But
yeah.
But there will be peppering of others.
I did go to church today. Actually, people asked me if my skin started to burn.
Yeah, Father Lambert, man, was a big hit. It was crazy. It was like that, and like, you know, this meaty day. But it's genuine. I really had like a genuine like come to Jesus moment with all of this stuff, and was like, wow, now that I see it, not only can I not unsee it, but I need other people to see it. It's life-changing, really.
I remember when you were first starting out with the old channel, and I want to say it was in June of 2022. And then I think by like December of that year, you had already gotten up to like 100,000. You already got your plaque at that point. And
it was very fast.
Yeah, that was a quick, like it took me a while to get mine. And you know, I'll tell you, the thing is like I remember when I got that plaque, I was like so proud. I mean, still kind of am, I guess. But when I got that, I thought it was really something else. And now I'm kind of like, subs are kind of a vanity metric, but it's a personal accomplishment, and to see it go that quick, that says something. That says people like what you're doing. And so like one of the things I get called to the carpet for quite a bit is like if I'm working with like Torsha, or if I'm working with like if I'm working with any female that is in this space, I'm automatically like, people raise an eyebrow. Like they automatically don't want to think that that you would be on board with like the total message, right? Or the total whatever they think that message is. Because I think a lot of guys think that I have some sort of like agenda or something like that. I really don't. But like, for instance, if I'm like working with Torsha, or if I'm working with you, or if I'm working with like anybody in the past who's, you know, has had a vagina, right?
Yeah.
Then there's always this suspicion. And I think, and maybe not without reason, but I try to be as sort of, I guess, pragmatic about the whole thing as I possibly can. And that's one of the reasons why I liked working with you back then. And I really wanted you to come back because I think your take on it is very much, like there's certain things like I can say in this space and I will have people accuse me of being a misogynist, right? I mean, and
Of
then
course.
you can say I'm verbatim. You could say the exact same thing, and people go, "Oh, God, finally, some woman is finally saying it," right? And I'm just, what am I, chopped liver? But I in some ways I kind of get that, but there are very few people who would get, like, very few women who would get my endorsement, and you are one of those women that will get my endorsement as far as being a representative of this. So.
You know, let me just say, I get the distrust.
Mhm.
Like, I get it. I really do, because I see so many women. First of all, there's a ton of women in this space that they just want to make money, right? Like, it's the same women that'll like throw on a Trump t-shirt. I covered, this Emily Wilson this last week, and she's selling merch. She's selling Trump merch, and she's built this whole career with Turning Point USA. I mean, I wouldn't say a whole career, but she's got subscribers and all this stuff. And she sounds like a liberal feminist. She really doesn't sound very different from Chelsea Handler on these issues. So I feel like guys, a lot of times, they've trusted in the past, these conservative women especially, or these women that seem like they value traditional values, and they kind of like say, all right, let's give her a chance. And then they realize, wait a minute, when push comes to shove, she's really saying the same crap. So I get the distrust, which is why I always say, give it time, like, listen to what I'm saying. And also, I think, listen to the fact that I was willing to publicly say, oh my God, that feminist chip, I think I might have some of it. I'm going to go in and gut it out and throw it on the floor and rid myself of it, and talk about that and say, like, I didn't realize this was in me too. Like, ooh, it's gross, and women, don't do that. So I think I get the distrust. And I just tell guys, like, just give it a shot. Ask me the hard questions and see how I answer. I told Andrew Wilson the same thing. I went and did his show, and I don't think he knew what to make of me. He saw me do the Tomi Lahren critique, and he was like, well, that made sense, but who is this girl really? And I think he was surprised. We didn't fight. I think he thought there was a fight that was coming, and it just didn't go that way.
And I get that too, because I think a lot of guys, especially in this space right now, I mean, I can't really, I guess maybe Andrew would be part of that too, but there's this kind of standoffishness, I think, when it comes to, like, what is this chick all about? Because they're so used to Tomi Lahren. We're so used to the chick with the crucifix and her big boobs are hanging out, and she's been making a cake and shit like that. And that's supposed to be traditional conservative, right? Or she's going to teach you how to make a souffle or some shit like that, and right before church, right? And if you look at, like, what Ashley St. Clair gave me so much freaking shit during the 2024 election cycle, and the red pill this and the red pill that. And guess what? Turns out her entire life has been a lie. Like, every last bit of it, and the whole thing with the Elon baby and everything else is just, it's amazing. But the thing is like, people have very short attention spans and very, very short memories when it comes to stuff like that. Like I say, the internet never forgets, but people have very short attention spans. And like, I that's in if you're the person that has to remind people about that, like when the whole thing came out with Destiny and Lauren Southern and everything, and now of course the leaks come out through Kiwi Farms and everything, I'm 100% vindicated from that. People are like, why do you take that so seriously, bro? What's so wrong with that? Like, well, why are you so obsessed? I'm like, because you sons of bitches had run me up the flagpole like just a year ago over this whole thing, and you need to be reminded about this. But nobody cares. At that point, nobody really cares.
No, I think there's just a lot of, and similar things have happened to me. It was interesting when I was at Fox. I don't even like to use this word conservative anymore, because it's like, what does that even mean? Everyone's such a phony these days. So I just don't, when people ask me, like, what are you? I just tell them what I think about things, because the words just don't mean anything. But I remember being there and saying, like, I got reamed because I was saying on air, hey, this stuff that Trump is saying about the stolen election, the way he's talking about it, that's not what's happening. Like, these voting machines, it's not voting machines. What's really happening is that this election is being stolen, but it's a social media thing. It's Facebook and Twitter and all of these social media companies colluding on messaging. And this is not a story about voting machine. And the audience didn't want to hear that, because they wanted me to just agree with Trump on, even though I agreed with Trump on like 90% of things, it was not allowed to disagree. And it's so interesting, because when I left, everyone was like, get rid of Jed, she sucks, all that. Within, I don't know how, maybe 6 months, everyone came and was like, oh my God, you were trying to help. Yeah, I was trying to help because I was trying to tell you, get out and vote. The voting machines aren't broken. Get out and vote because there is something going on that's trying to steal this election. I wanted Trump to win personally at the time. And I'm like, you got to vote. You can't be thinking the machines are broken. This is counterproductive to the cause. And I had got so many emails of people being like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And then when the jab came out and then Fox had a mandate and I was like, they're all the same. All these, don't you see it? Like it's all the same shit. There is no conservative, like Fox News media. It's a bullshit, you know, the powers that be at the top are the same. And I didn't want to play that game. So now I have people, it just goes that way sometimes. You go through something, it plays out, and then it's like vindication, and you're like, yeah, man, yeah.
All you gotta do is wait. Sometimes, man, it's all you gotta do is. And I like the whole thing that went down with Destiny and Lauren Southern and Brittany Venti and stuff during summer of 2020 when my daughter is getting married, right? All I had to do was wait. You just like you got to figure that people who live those kinds of lifestyles, that shit's going to catch up with them at some point, and sure, and it's still catching up with them with these SA charges with Destiny right now. I mean, I've done that video already, but like the fact is, here's the other great one. I was just mentioning this before you came on. Is did you happen to catch Jordan Peterson on Joe Rogan not too long ago? I think
I saw a clip, but he's I don't know, man.
I was critical of Peterson before it was cool to be critical of Peterson, and people will be like, "Oh, you're just professionally jealous, Rolo," and you're like, "No, it's bullshit. It's baffle garble. It's this new age mush mouth crap that he's just. It sounds like it's wisdom or like you pulled it out of the tea leaves or some shit like that." And all he had to do was be pro-Israel, and people throw him. That's all you had to do. Like I would have done that if I known that was all I had to do to get you guys to sort of come around on this guy, and all because that's the zeitgeist. That's what people are like obsessed with right now. Yeah. And all he had to do was be on the wrong team, and everybody throws him under the bus. And now it's I guess it wasn't professional jealousy.
Rolo, I want to ask you something though, because not about the Petersons, but I was thinking about this. Do you know Andrew Wilson? Have you ever done a show with him?
I've done several shows with him. He's been on. In fact, he was on Rule Zero a few times. I had him on with Jim Sexton once, as a matter of fact.
I find you very different. Tonally, and I it's just a very different experience, but I had an interesting conversation with him, and I'm curious to ask your opinion. I was talking about what women need from men and what men need from women, and we got down to procreation needs aside, right? Take that out of the equation. Do men need anything from women? Not want, right? We could talk about what they want ideally, but do they need anything? And I got the impression, I mean, that the answer was no from him. And I'm just curious because I didn't quite see it that way. We can talk about that, but what would you say to something like that?
It's funny when you use people kind of get like itchy under the collar whenever you use the term need. Like there's want and need. Like you don't need a woman, you want a woman, or I don't need no man. I want a man, but I don't need a man. I've fielded that question so many times, and like again, sorry, everybody drink. But like whenever I was on Dr. Phil, one of the things I said on Dr. Phil's was that men are superfluous now, right? Like they're nice to have around, but you don't actually need them. And he couldn't it was like I was speaking like Swahili. Like they had no concept of anything that I was talking about. I go, yeah, on my shows. I mean, I have women say we don't need men, but we want men.
But that's not true.
Yeah,
we do, and I think objectively,
I agree.
Society,
that's the message that
right. But that's what I'm trying to get at. Objectively, if you look at life, if you're an honest female out there and you look at your life and you say, "Do I need a man?" The answer is objectively 100% yes. Now, not only a man in your life, right? In your to be in the home with you as the protector, as the all of it, but in life in general, we need men, right? You would have no roads, you would have no bridges, you would have no infrastructure, you would have no
practical, pragmatic perspective. Yes.
If somebody bombs us, what are the women going to go to the front lines? I mean, it's laughable, right? We as a society need men. And in the home, women need men too. If something goes wrong in your house, somebody's like robbing your home, you're going to hide behind your man. I can't even, my husband will lift the washer dryer and fix, like, he's just this strong He-Man guy. I need him. Without him, I would be in trouble.
Yep.
But if you flip it around, and that's what I'm saying, if you said, do men need women if they want to have babies? Sure. Yes. Right? Yes, you do. But that, if you take that out of it, do you need us? Is that stuff that we give you, like the loyalty and the devotion and the affection and the support? Is that a need, or is that just,
or is that a
nice?
Want? Is
it nice, but not, and you know what I'm saying? It is a bit different.
Well, so Myron has, and I think probably Andrew probably would align with this as well, is there's this kind of pervasive message, I think, where it's like, well, women need men and men don't need women. And from their perspective, I can understand that. But also you got to remember, like, from a reproductive perspective, yeah, we need women. But from a practical perspective, probably not. But also there's sort of the intangible stuff too. So like when people ask me, well, Rolla, what do you vet for in a woman, right? What do we need with, what would like describe your ideal woman? And so I'll say stuff like, I need a woman with insight. I need a woman that understands when she's wrong and knows when to like apologize, or to be able to sort of look into certain things that maybe I have a blind spot to, right? That I'm not going to see as like as a man, okay? And I'm not speaking for all men, but I'm just speaking for myself as a man. When you look at, like, say, fMRI studies of men's brain scans and women's brain scans, and you look at how the synapses are like sort of like, switched off, like men are usually like up and down and women are cross, the hemispheres and stuff. If you take those, and they've done this too, you take those and you superimpose them on top of each other, it's almost like a perfect complement to if you took one person, you put them together like that, it's a perfect complement, right? And it really kind of gets back to what I've always said is that, that we may not actually have a particular need for the other, but we do better together than we are apart.
I agree.
And so when you look at the sexes, like, we are very, very different. And this is a thing I've harped on for a very long time, because there's too many people like this. There's this blank slate understanding about men and women where we're just the same, which just the plumbing's different, which is sort of this legacy of this, late 60s, early 70s era blank slate Jungian psychology bullshit about how we're basically all the same, and men can be women and women can be men, and we just have to get in touch with the feminine side, get in touch with the masculine side. And it's like, no, how about this? How about I'm a man and I have a masculine side, and that's all there is to it, and you're a woman and you have a feminine side, and that's all there is to it. And when we come together, your weaknesses are covered by my strengths, and my blind spots and my weaknesses happen to be also complemented by your innate talents, your innate abilities, your innate proclivities as a woman. So there's again, we are better together than we are apart. We're innate natural complements to each other. And I think that if we're just going to say, well, men are these islands and we can just get along by ourselves and not have to worry about anything, I think that's very limiting. If we're going to say, is one more complementary than the other, is one more, I think it just sort of depends on the situation. What is the challenge? I don't believe in equality. I don't believe in equality between the sexes. I think that's been one of the biggest lies that's been perpetrated by this sort of new agey egalitarian bullshit that we've had to deal with really since the dawning of the post or the sexual revolution era. And primarily because, and people like lose their shit whenever I say, oh, you don't believe in equality? No, I don't, because you don't define what equality means. Equality doesn't happen in a vacuum. Like, equality to what? I can't give birth. Oh, that's horribly unequal. I want to be equal. Like, no, that the challenge is to give birth, and only women with wombs can give birth. Sorry, that's just how the mechanics work, right? Well, if I need my wife to go and lift, 2 5-gallon jugs of Sparkletts water, that's horribly unequal. I guess I'm going to have to go do that because I have more physical upper body strength than she does. She's not going to go raise hell on the White House lawn because she can't go lift 2 Sparklets bottles. But that's the challenge. The challenge is who's better at lifting Sparklets bottles, who's better at lifting or having a baby, who's better at like there's certain challenges.
See, I agree with you 100%. When you say like the right union, when you're talking about women being in their feminine, men being in their masculine, the right union, I believe is a beautiful thing. I agree with you, better together than apart. And I also really do feel that the right woman can greatly enhance a man's life. But here's the challenge, I think, and at the root of this whole problem. I think there is a deep female insecurity because we know at our core that we need for survival reasons at the most basic level of survival, we need, I'm not talking, take procreation out because I know people, well, women, yes, but at the most basic levels of survival, we need you because we're not as strong. We are more fragile. We need you for the really freaking hard stuff.
For protection, provisioning, and parental investment.
Right. If there's if a bomb goes off, I always say like wartime, like burglary, like we get thrown on a desert island and it's now about survival. I think at our core, we know that. And many women hate that about themselves. They hate it. They don't want to marry like the Terminator. They want to be the Terminator. You know, they don't want to be in T1 where there's the damsel in distress and they're saved by the big strong guy. They don't want to do that anymore. They want to be, you know, Sarah Connor in T2 and they want to do the killing. They want to be
they want to be the ass kicker by having this magical ability.
They want to be able to do what guys can do because we can't do it, right? And the thing is, like, I think it's creating this paradigm of now where you have society telling women, no, you can do it. But we know deep down inside, no, we can't. We're not as strong. Like you can take, I mean, my son, by the time he's 11 is going to be stronger than me. The kid eats organs for breakfast. I mean, he's pretty much stronger than me now. So it's just this. And I think if women would embrace that reality and just say, that's not my role. And I'm totally fine with that not being my role. But this over here, this motherhood stuff, this nurturing stuff, this is my role. And I'm going to sink into that. I think all of this craziness would go away, but because they're fighting so hard to do what guys can do, and they're so pissed about it. And that's why I asked this question initially, not because I don't believe that women are, you know, deeply enhance men's lives and men deeply enhance women's lives, but because this basic principle of need due to like survival is women are getting eaten alive by this reality that we're just not guys. We can't do all the stuff.
I think one of the reasons for that, well, first of all, there's the biological evolutionary reason, which is I've never called women the weaker sex, but they are the vulnerable sex. And what I mean by that is in our evolutionary past, women who were giving birth from a very early age were either pregnant most of the time, or they had a child in one arm and they were pregnant with the next one incoming, right? And the nature of human beings is that we rely, I know this sounds counterintuitive, but we actually rely on our intelligence. We actually need, like, the strength of being a human being is to have, like, you know, a sort of a creative, improvisational intelligence. And to do that, we have to have very big heads. And so what happens is we have a very long gestational period. And then from the time a child, you know this, it's from a time a child is born until that child is right around 7 or 8 and can feed itself and is in some way, you know, self-sufficient enough that it can run away from a saber-toothed tiger or something like that. That child is effectively helpless. And so if you're still pregnant with, and the brother and sister are still coming in, you need that man to be able to protect that family. And you need a guy who can provide, protect, and be parentally invested in his own kids, right? So I think one of the sort of the deep, sort of the deeper frustrations that women have is we're really, since the time of the sexual revolution, we've have empowered women to come into a conventionally masculine role, and then say, you can do it all, girl. That's why I was just talking about, like, the blank slate there. It's we're all the same. You can be an astronaut and a wife and a mother and learn Hapkido and take down 3 guys at the same time in the Hollywood blockbuster or something like that. And we sort of have sold on this bill of goods where it just automatically magically happens, right? They don't have to learn it. They just have to, magically go out and do it. And that's why I see like a lot of sort of, if you look at like female fiction is usually a revenge fantasy because women tend to feel very, very, very victimized, very vulnerable, and going from that vulnerability to having sort of the comeuppance on the villain who took advantage of them. And the fantasy is like, like in, what do you call it? The Handmaid's Tale, right? We're being forced to have all these babies that we didn't want to have with people that we didn't want to have. And so our revenge fantasy is to bring down the patriarchy and to bring down this whole thing. And it's the same story. It's kind of like Taco Bell. It's the same ingredients and just a different taco or a different tortilla or something like that. But really what it comes down to is a concept that's called evolutionary gap. And what that means is like, we're still the same critters we were 2,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago, right? Where we're still basing our understanding of sort of gender roles and the division of labor and sexual dimorphism. We're still basing our understanding of that from the past 100,000 years of our evolution. We're not intended to be equals. We're not intended to be. I mean, we're intended to be complements for sure. But women are dependent on the protection, the provisioning, and the parental investment of men. That's why women are picky with who they pick. Because even when they're vetting for a guy, even if they pick the right guy, that guy could still die, And if they pick the wrong guy, well, now they're having a child with a guy who is not invested in them, is not providing them, and is not protecting them.
Yeah.
So it's a death sentence. So you can understand why women would be a lot more selective in their sexual selections than it would be for guys who seem to be a lot more indiscriminate about those things. But
I just see so much deep resentment in these women. And I get it because I remember I wanted to be Sarah Connor too. I did. I was like, oh, I'm going to do the pull-ups just like, and it's kind of a joke. Like, I go to the gym with my husband and I'm pretty strong and pretty fit for my age and I'm little, as you met me, I'm like this big, but I'm in good shape. And it's like a joke. I mean, he's like a calisthenics guy. He can like lift me up like on the tip of his finger and just be like, hey, everyone, Jed's here. And if I really like thought in life that I would need to rival him in that sphere, it would be such a deeply sad and disappointing life. And I've just been thinking about that a lot because I see these resentful women. I've been thinking about that, and I've been just thinking about biology because I think when we first sat down and talked, I think we got into a conversation about university life and college with women. And I always thought, well, yeah, of course, to be smart. I liked having all this knowledge. But I read a study the other day talking about women's eggs. And by the time they're like 32, they've lost so many of their good eggs. And I was like, well, this whole path is wrong. Like what if we're really designed to be having babies, and really the truth is in like early 20s, not even late 20s, then this whole path of like going to college and the 4 years to prep you for this career that then you spend all of your 20s doing, and you don't wake up until you're 32 or 33, and your biology really is calling for a different life. So it's just this unwillingness to see that the female and male biology is totally different. Our hormonal cycle is like this. Crazy guys know they have to deal with us, right? It just is. We're a different person every day because hormonally we are a different person every day. And that doesn't factor well into this career climb. And just when you really sit back and you think about all this stuff, you realize the larger agenda here has really been, oh yeah, let's encourage women to do this long delay, and university is going to help us with that. And by the time everybody wants to, have their kids, the fertility rates are going to sink, and it's going to be less likely that they're going to form a union. And oh, look, we just made a bunch of government dependents. I mean, if you really wanted to just bleed out this whole thing, it's quite horrible. So I always tell women like, man, it all worked out for me. And yeah, I get heat because people are, well, you got married late and you had a baby at 40. Yeah, I did by the grace of God. But if I could, would I change? Listen, I don't want to change anything in my life because I have this kid that I love and my husband, and I wouldn't trade them for the world, but I'm not going to tell women to do what I did. I would tell you, get married in your early 20s and start having kids, man. that's the time, really. You're going to lose your window. So I don't know. I have just such a different.
Did you? I can't imagine you didn't. You saw the interview. Well, what interview? With the for lack of a better term, the debate on Pierce Morgan between Andrew Wilson and Tommy Lahren.
Yeah, I responded to it.
Of course, the kicker in that was when Andrew put her on the spot and said, "What do men get out of this arrangement?" And this is like it goes back to what you're saying right here is the thing that got me about that whole thing, and I don't think anybody really hit on this, is that Tommy was offended, like she was like genuinely offended that someone would ask her, "How dare you try to qualify, like you get this pussy." That's like that was the whole thing. But she couldn't answer the question. She couldn't say what's
right,
like, besides your cooter, what is it that what am I getting out of this deal? And the funny thing is like, and I've seen other people, especially religious people, would say the same thing. It's like, your masculine duty is to be a martyr, to be sacrificial, to lay down your life for women, whether it's whether you know them or not. And again, it goes back to that protector dynamic where, like, if you're in survival situations where like here in Vegas, we had the mass shooting back in 2017 or something like that. Guys would go and put themselves in front of like live ammunition to take the bullet for a woman that they didn't even know. And they're doing it on instinct. They're not like thinking it over, because you don't have time to think it over. You just go and instinctively do something like that. And so there's this protector dynamic that I think that has been sort of exploited for the longest time. And then when you do have time to think about it, and you're saying, why is it men and women and children first? Why am I supposed to sacrifice myself for someone, for half of the population who's not going to appreciate that sacrifice in the first place? What do I get out of this? And the answer is, how dare you?
How dare you ask?
How dare you question? You're not a real man because you asked that question, not because you're like, you wouldn't do it. It's because you asked the question in the first place. And to even broach the subject is misogyny. To even utter the words that Andrew said on that show. And the thing that gets me is like, and not just Tommy, but a lot of the other women who are watching this and wanted to opine on it as well. They're saying the same things, is like, they don't understand, like their obliviousness to the fact that why would any guy ever question this?
Yeah, there's no self-awareness.
If you're questioning it, you're not a real man.
And I tell guys, listen, I mean, guys just have to not care about being called a misogynist or, toxic. Just who cares, right? You have to just forget that. And I always tell guys to be very open with women about, hey, listen, these are the things that I think I should be bringing to the table for you. Whatever that may be for you. I feel like I should be able to pay the bills so that if you decide you don't want to work, you don't have to work. I feel that I should be the protector of this house. And if something goes, I'm going to be well trained, that if somebody does anything, trust me, you will be safe with me. And I feel that whatever that list is for you, and most guys will have a similar list, I think. And I think they should then say, what are you going to do in this union? What are you going to do? And if that is your test, right? Because if she turns around and is like, I mean, or start citing this crap like, oh, I have a really good career. Like, I'm sure Tommy Lauren thinks it's amazing that she does, Tommy Lauren is fearless, but who cares? Like a guy who, and maybe she's, trained her husband well. And he says, well, yes, I do care. But let's be real. Most guys don't care about your work. That's not why they're there. So, and then what happens is if a guy had the audacity, and guys should know this, if you say to that woman, well, I want children, and I really am looking for someone who's going to be an amazing mother and who's going to prioritize that above all else, you should feel comfortable to articulate that in the same way that she's comfortable saying, I want a guy who makes X amount of money so that I don't have to work. The only difference is that guys have been told that it's misogynistic to speak their mind, and women have been told that speaking their mind is empowered. Right? So you just have to not give a shit. Guys should be able to say what they really care about. And if a woman is not doing that, the other thing I see all the time, and I get written all the time from guys who are in the sexless marriages. I cannot tell you how many emails I get. And I'm like, well, what do you mean it's 5 years in and you're asking me?
Yeah.
Go to your wife and say, this is not okay. This is not healthy. This is not what a marriage should look like. This is not sustainable. And I'm not doing it. So what's it going to be?
Yeah.
Like, you be a
I've
man.
told guys this before too. It's like, I'm like, the amount, like, think about it this way: the amount of effort and the amount of just insane sacrifice that you have to put out to perform well, to be admirable, to be respectable, to have a woman, to have your wife or a woman or anyone else look up to you, to have all of that, to be a high value guy. Think about all of the work and all of the effort. And I mean, to the point where it's like, you have to absolutely be insane to actually prosper, to actually be able to fulfill that role. That amount of intensity that you have to be an elite level success. That's the amount of intensity I expect in the bedroom when I come home from a hard day work, man. That's that right there. It's like, okay, I've got a man who is the best at what he does. He's respectable. He just goes out and kills himself every single day. I'm going to be waiting there with 3 martinis and a lingerie and my big tits, and it's ready to go. Like, that's the amount of intensity that you ought to have in that relationship. If there's going to be any, you want to say reciprocal, that's going to have to be, the energy out has to be energy in. And if the energy in is the sexual side of things, that you better be just as insane as I am about sex as I am about success.
The other thing I recently read that was really interesting to me was talking about testosterone and the plummeting testosterone in guys. And
you talk about that with Mike?
I talked about, I don't remember.
Mike's big on that topic, so I just wondering.
I'm not sure if it was Mike, but I was reading about it because I'm really interested in all these hormones. And there's all these guys that are like really young that are taking testosterone. I'm like, why are you taking testosterone? You're like 30 years old. What's going on? And of course, we can talk about like the chemicals and toxins in the environment and all that garbage. Fine. But one thing that was brought up was that men are becoming so feminized that they're home and they're like taking care of the kids now. They're doing like the mom jobs, and there's an inverse relationship with oxytocin and men with their testosterone. And something's happening where men's testosterone is actually shrinking because their oxytocin is climbing because they're around they're doing the motherly nurturing role all day long. And it's then affecting everyone's sex life because they, if you don't have enough testosterone, then you've got erectile issue. All these issues are happening.
Cortisol, and you get fat, and yes.
And at the same time, women are doing the boss babe climb, and they're like gaining testosterone. So it's just it's like there is just such a refusal to look at biology. And I just think of a world where if you respected your biology as a woman versus a man and lived a life in accordance with what your biology would ideally require, right? Like, if I want to have children, this is when I would have them, and that would mean I would make these decisions. And I wonder if it would just be such a happier, simpler, less complicated, like it would all make sense, really. And it's just this rejection of it it's so fascinating, because I know a lot of those guys where I'm like, we'll go out. My husband and I will go out and I'll be like, wow, that guy is so feminine. And then you find out the mom's out working all day and he's playing with the kids. And I'm like, oh, it's happening. He's like becoming biologically, his hormones are becoming female. No joke. So it's wild.
When men get into long-term relationships, whether it's marriage or whatever, their testosterone declines, like as a result. When men have children, their testosterone also declines. And so what's funny to me is like when I'm debating these guys about like, oh yeah, marriage, you'll live longer and you'll be healthier and stuff, like, yeah, because your testosterone drops and you're less willing to take the same kind of risks and the same kind of chances you used to, that made you the superhero she wanted to fuck before you got married. But
what do you make, Rolla? Let me ask you this. Every now and then I get an email, which is a little odd to me, where a woman will write who's married and will say that she's been married. They've been married for, say, I don't know, usually it's like 5+ years, and the husband doesn't want to have sex. I always say, in my, I don't know how to say it to them, and I don't respond to a lot of these, but I choose some and I do them on the show. But who is he having sex with? Is my gut instinct like that? Guys, like, well, who is it? It's not you. Who is it? But is it like, what do you think of that? Is there something that happens in men that could get turned off to the woman and just, I don't know.
I'll give you the Aaron Clary answer. They're all fat.
That could be true too. The women or the guys or both?
Both, probably. You got to remember that like our sex drives are sort of attenuated to a certain, physical, body habitus. And while I know that guys tend to be more like opportunistic breeders, let's just say, I mean, like nobody's ugly after 2 a.m., right? But I think that there is a certain threshold, and especially if it's somebody that they have to live with and they become sort of domesticated with. And again, it's that familiarity breeds contempt kind of thing. But if it's some, like, for instance, if you have a legal contract that says you can only fuck this person for the rest of your life, right? And that person is 60 pounds overweight, she's not passing the boner test anymore. And so what you're either going to give up and let yourself go, or you're going to find alternatives, and usually those alternatives is Pornhub, and it's going to be some sort of substitute right there, which is going to essentially chemically castrate a guy, and he's not going to be into it. It's certainly not going to be into it with this. And so what gets me is like it's sort of this self-defeating kind of negative feedback loop that happens is she gives up, he gives up, and then it goes into this sort of tailspin with the availability of sort of online ubiquitous 4K streaming pornography, which fulfills his really, well, I mean, vicariously, let's just say, virtually fulfills his biological imperative, which is unlimited access to unlimited sexuality. So unless you have two people who are in a marriage who are dedicated to staying in shape for each other and being sexual for each other, which after a while, and I think really especially, I got to lay this at the feet of women here, is that after a while it becomes something of a chore for women. It becomes something, I got to take out the trash, I got to go and fold the clothes, I got to fuck my husband, and then I got to feed the dogs, and it's like it's part of the list of things. And it just becomes, it's not about sex anymore. It's about, part of the laundry list of things that she's got to do.
Yeah.
And then whether she wants to or she doesn't. And I think a lot of the times when guys get into those situations, it's really about genuine desire rather than I'm on record as saying this is like, I don't have a quota of sex I have to have with my wife. I mean, if it's twice a week, great. As long as it's enthusiastic, as long as it's like, I want to rip your fucking clothes off and go.
Your wife is in very good shape, by the way.
Yeah,
I saw a photo of her and I was like, she has abs. Like she has legit, I don't know what the secret is. Maybe we need to have her on and discuss fitness because she looks very good.
She would probably do your show, actually. She
actually looks great.
I
had just seen like headshots of her, and then I saw one photo. I guess she went to, was it like a Babes in Toyland? I don't know where we went together. And she had shorts, and I was like, oh, she has like a six-pack. Yes. Wow, that's amazing. I was very happy to see that.
We're both in our late 50s, and she still got it.
Good for her, man. Good for her.
We have a sort of this unspoken agreement. I mean, we both like to have at it. We like to go at it a lot. And I stay in shape because I've been a gym rat for a long time, and so is she. And so it works out very well. And then I think there's also, by the way, there is some side benefits to that as well. First of all, you're physical and you're healthy. We could go run with the dogs and we do things that, people who half our age are still, will be doing. But we're also I don't say inspiration, but we're also a positive motivation or inspiration to my daughter and to her friends and stuff too, because here we are at this stage of our life and we're still very much in love with each other. We're still very much desiring each other. We're still I'm in love with my wife, people want to hack up, but it's true. And so like, as a result, when like what your son's like 5 years old, right? But like when he gets to be 25 years old and he goes, mom and dad are still together and they're still very much in love and they're still got goo eyes over each other and they're still like, like that. That is something that a lot of people, that's very rare today, especially when there's that sort of mutual like gender respect. Like she knows her roles, I know my roles. I was going to say is like, when I was dating my wife would, if we were going out on a date and we were going to use her car, because she never liked to take my pickup truck anywhere, she would hand me the keys to her car and say, "You drive." And she was the first woman I ever dated that ever did that. And that was sort of set the tone for our relationship, because she expected me to drive the car, even if it's her car and I'm not her insurance. but that was really kind of, it stated a message to me that this is what is expected of me, to drive the car, to be the one that is in control of where we're going, even if it is her car, even if it is her, her life, drive my life, take my life, and I trust you. Let's go to the restaurant, but let's go forward into life. And that was really what set the tone for us. And I don't really see that as being something that is, I see it as being very, very rare today. Most women would, like, I asked, what was it? I think it was Rich Cooper asked me, like, one time, he said, like, how did you know you wanted to marry a wife? I said, well, or how do you know she trusts you and stuff? I go, well, if you were to come home from work or something like that, or you just come home from, wherever you were, and you said, "Hey, honey, we're going to go skydiving today. And I have your parachute right here. I packed it myself. We're going to go up. We're going to get to 10,000 feet. We're going to jump out of the plane. We're going to have a great time. We're going to go skydiving together. I packed your chute, ready to go." If she says no because you packed the chute, get out of that relationship. Because if that woman can't trust you with her life, how can she trust you with raising kids? How can she trust you with other decisions as well? That woman needs to be able to get in the car, sit down, shut up, and hold on. That's you're the one that's driving. You're driving the car away. So
I love it. No, I think that's great. And I do think it kind of, I've said this before, but it kind of does make you a unique speaker. It's actually a great combination, you and Mike doing a show together, because you have completely different lives. So it offers, like, Mike's life is wild, and it's like a nice contrast with the girls, I think.
That's funny. I should probably run this by you. There was, like, myself, Justin Waller, Myron Gaines, and Mike. We have had, like, sort of group conversations about, like, sort of our situations and how we are with women, right? Because Mike's in a situation, well, I mean, when he was with Kylie anyways, but when he had his girlfriend and everything, he was in a situation, he's a very high value guy. I mean, he makes well over 7 figures. So, is, does what he does in Las Vegas, and does, judges bikini contests and sources girls and stuff like that. And we do Access Vegas together. And his situation is, hey, it's closed on her end, open on his end, although the girl can bring in girls or whatever. My situation is, I'm a pretty high value guy too, but my situation is it's closed on my end and closed on my wife's end. We just have a traditional relationship. I think you already know what Justin Waller's situation is. Yep. So, like, he very much a high value guy. He has his own business and does what Justin does. Myron Gaines, very similar situation as well. And we would have conversations about this. And I was like, there's, any one of us could cheat on our wives, or we could, explore other options, or go into whatever these other guys do. I mean, I choose not to do that because that's my lifestyle, but it gets to the point where that woman is not only financially dependent on you, but also sort of emotionally dependent on you, because there's never going to find anyone that's quite like you. Right. So it's one of those things where it's, is she in this relationship because she's held hostage, or is she in this relationship because she really, really appreciates the situation that she's in, and she doesn't want to screw anything up, and she really likes being what she is? And so we have these conversations, and I'm saying sometimes it's just a combination of both.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not just a need to be with that person, it's that want to be. And yes, could you get divorced and take half of your stuff? Yes, but you're still losing a guy like Justin Waller. You're still losing a guy like Mike Sartain, right? And so there's that value added aspect that goes along with that. And so, like, I don't want my wife to feel like she's a hostage. I want her to want to be in the relationship. Unfortunately, she is like that. But, like, I don't think enough, like, I think the four of us are in very unique positions or very unique situations. Like, people always ask, like, when I go to Babes in Toyland, I'm about to go to Miami, and I'm going to be there amongst very, very beautiful women when I'm at the white party in Miami next Saturday. and I'm going to post pictures on Instagram, and the first thing anybody's going to say is, doesn't his wife know what he's doing?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, she's known for 29 years. Okay. It's
Mhm.
we're good, you know,
Mhm.
but the presumption, the reason why you get that reaction is because people don't have that abundance mentality. They don't know the situation that you're in. And I always have to sort of like check myself
Mhm.
on those things, because I literally can't put a picture up without someone thinking it's a flex. But the fact that I'm in that unique situation in the first place is
Yeah.
something that I think we all sort of have to take into consideration.
Well, Rolo,
Yeah.
I'm gonna run and go pick up my little man.
Yeah, I figured as much. I got to get out.
I get
of
like
here
an
too.
hour, and then it's like I
told everybody, I said, we're good for an hour. She's got a kid. It's Mother's Day.
It's Mommy's
so-
Day. We did have a beautiful
Hey,
breakfast.
can I
and
ask you one last question though? I
Yeah,
have
of
to
course.
ask
Go
one
ahead.
last question. Okay. So you are the mother of a 5-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Has your outlook on sort of gender relations and this whole red pill stuff and the stuff that you talk about in your clips and on your shows, has that been inspired by the fact that you have a son?
Oh yeah, I think that definitely played a role. Because I want him to grow up in a world that's not calling him toxic all the time. And if it is calling him toxic, I want him to be like, get lost, you know? So building a boy, all of the things that I'm building in him, like a kid with a strong backbone and a kid who knows, I mean, he watches our roles in the house, and he sees that daddy's roles are daddy's roles and mommy's roles are mommy's roles. And I want him to grow into a strong, healthy, dynamic man. I also just see all of these women, and I'm like, as a mom, oh man, I would not want this for my son. Any of this, just these ingrates or women saying, you know, I want my son to be able to say, like I told you before, this is what I'm bringing to the table. What are you bringing to the table? And I don't want him living in a world where there's no one left. There's no actual traditional women left that would be like, able to respond to that in a way that would create a healthy home dynamic. So yes, of course. And you know, I was talking about feminism before I started doing all this, but my eyes weren't really open until I really started doing this kind of content, doing the research, thinking about hormones, thinking about my life and the things that I would tell a young girl to do differently. But 100% having a son, I'm always like, oh my gosh, I want him to grow up in a world that's like this. And these TikTok girls, oh, honey, it's no. Imagine them showing up at my door. This is all I'm going to say. Can you imagine my son bringing one of these? I mean, and I'm the mom, so you know how that's going down. And I want him to be proud of his masculinity and as he grows and his strength, and not cower behind a culture. Like, I don't want him shrinking for society. I want him saying, this is who I am. I am a strong, dynamic man. I will treat women well. I want to be treated well in return. I want him to be able to have expectations of them as they will also have of him. And I'm doing my part to kind of, I guess, do what I can to wake some of these women up, right? To try to maybe remind women. Some of these young women are still in that age bracket where the tide can turn here, and they can change the way they see the world and the friends they talk to, and then they're going to have kids. And all of this stuff needs to change in order for my kid to have a healthy relationship one day. Like it just does. So yeah, I mean, man, and I love having a son. He's such a boy. And I love it. I love being a boy mom. I'm kind, you know, I like to work out. I like to do like crazy, like amusement park rides. And I'm kind of a daredevil, and he's such a daredevil. So it's been a very beautiful thing to be a boy's mom, but it's also been a very scary thing to see how men are treated in society. And for me to be like a mama bear, that's like, oh no, that's not happening to my son. Like this tide is changing. And yeah. I'm gonna do it single-handedly if I have to, which I don't. But like, yeah, that's some of the oomph in my step for sure.
Cool. Let me get to these right quick here. This is why I live below my means, and I have vows of poverty. Never live my life showing off more than I can. Thank you, Rolla, for helping me to stay true to myself. You are welcome, sir. Happy Mother's Day, Jed. What was your aha moment that the red pill point of view is the right way?
You know, I don't even think
me coming on your show.
I don't even think of it as like red pill. Again, that's another term that people use that I'm like, what is that? Because people identify as red pill, and I'm like, that's not. What are you kidding? Like, I listen to their commentary, I'm like, that's not even. But I think my moment, I think it actually really was that first interaction I had with you, because I walked away and I realized that I had a knee-jerk reaction in myself to defend things that I didn't even believe. Like I always say there was like a chip in here. But I was like, wait a minute, why am I? That's not how I'm living my life. Why am I even feeling the need to defend this cause when it's not my cause? And it doesn't even make any sense. So our conversation for sure. And then just that kind of ricocheted into a lot of research about biology and hormones and thinking about my life and being really honest and transparent about what I wouldn't recommend people do that I did. And I guess all that. Yeah.
I got this one here. Righteous Jamie says, hey, Jed, are you going to interview MGTOW content creators like Sandman, Hammer, Hand, and Better Bachelor? Is Better Bachelor still MGTOW?
I don't
or
know.
Are you going to stick to the usual suspects within the red pill manosphere?
I don't know those guys. So I don't know. I mean, I told you guys I have like mics on, you know, I have the usual suspects because you guys ask for them. Like I come on my show and I'm like, who do you want to hear from? And it's like Justin Waller, Sterling Cooper, you know, Mike Sartain, I had never talked to. So I was curious about that. I get a lot of Andrew Tates, and it's going to be, I want to bring some different people on too, who are not related to, who talk about dating dynamics that aren't of any particular mindset, to ask some questions. I think that could be really interesting. So I don't know.
What is your stance on mandatory paternity tests?
Oh gosh. I don't mandatory paternity. I mean, I don't know, to be honest. I don't feel like I can opine on that well enough. Like I would need to dig into that, and that's your topic, Rolo, not mine.
That is my topic. They already know what my answer is. I think they should be mandatory paternity tests if you're going to expect that guy to pay prenatal care for a child that hasn't been born. You're going to have to find out whether that, if you want that, I'm okay with that. You just got to know it's your.
That's not my issue. So you'll learn that about me too. Like if it's something that is not, like if it's my wheelhouse, great. If it's not, I'll say, let me look into that and get back to you. Cause that's not my issue.
Jed should be a sit-in on Fresh and Fit. I agree.
You know something?
She tell Myron, I get it. It's monumentally fucked, but I get it. It would be entertaining to say the least.
I've never done that show, and I actually lived in Miami, so I don't know what happened there. But I reached out to Myron actually last week to come on. I want him to come on and talk about his campus.
Your show in a heartbeat, man.
Yeah, he's going to come on, but I have to figure out a time that works for him. But I want him to talk about his campus tour, because he's going on the college campuses and make people freaking crazy, which I love because I used to teach college, so I love it. So he will be on.
I have an announcement for you in a minute. Let's see. Happy Mother's Day, Jedediah. Okay. And then Jed, have you ever seen Survivor season 2? Reminded me of how horrible the women fared when they had genders compete against each other. Yeah,
I didn't see that. I can only imagine that was a disaster. And I would also, for the audience to know, I would last on Survivor for about I don't think I would get off. You know that boat that they used to take to get to the, I wouldn't even get off the boat. I mean, I am not built for the war. Let's just say that. I am not. Oof.
Oh boy. Well, I maybe I'll just tell you this, because this is going to come out on Sean Kelly's show anyways, but now I can actually say the thing. I got invited to Oxford University actually to go and do a modern masculinity debate or something like that for the Oxford Society. The other name on that bill was Myron Gaines, which would be great if we could all go meet up in the UK. And then I think Chris Williamson's name was mentioned on that as well. So, but I don't, whether that goes down or not, I'm not really sure, but that should be in the beginning of July. So when people were asking about like his college tour and stuff like that, I think it's probably part of this, of a similar push to get us a little bit more legitimacy on some of these. Like
you can go visit Pearl.
I will go to Oxford. No problem. I will go.
Did you hear what I said?
What?
You can go visit Pearl and do her. I know you're a big fan.
She's in Chicago now. She's not in the UK.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. See, I don't pay attention, but
I
I know
don't
you guys
either.
are such
I
deep
try
friends.
not to. That's the last I heard. So, all right, Jed. Thank you.
Wait,
for coming
listen,
on.
audience, if you loved this, what are you going to do for me? Rolo's
Go-
audience needs to go to Jedediah Bila Official and
Official.
subscribe. Jedediah Bila Official, subscribe, show some love. I expect to see you there, or I'm going to have to hold Rolo accountable if you don't.
Yes. Jedediah Bila Official. So where she owns her own content. Yay!
Love it.
And her background videos and her logos and everything else.
Everything is mine.
Yes, cool. Well, it's good to
Thank
see
you, Rolo. I had a blast.
You got it. Okay, thanks a lot. We will
You
see you next time, my friend. Bye. All right, guys. That's it for us today. We got to get out of here. We got to hard out in another 6 minutes, right? So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Again, I will be in Miami this upcoming week. And so look, you probably want to follow me on Instagram. Please follow me on Instagram. It's rational_male. That's my Instagram. Follow me and subscribe to me on Substack because that's a much better platform than YouTube is. And you will get, I put out anywhere between 3 and 4 different articles per month. I'm actually upping that quite a bit too. So we'll check that out. Once again, thanks for Jed coming on the show. I hope you guys enjoyed that as well. I will see you guys from my hotel room at the Hyatt Centric. I don't mind telling you where it is, from Miami next Sunday, same time. So watch this space and guys, be good. I'll see you next week. Bye.
Would you do it again? I need to feel you on top of me. It was my first time. Hey y'all. But I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time. What do you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now in the game. I've got some new tools. Please do the same. Time came by when over like a matchbox stereo. Time to get my thoughts now. Let go. Bound to keep me up all night. All right. Now we're fucking in the bathroom, tearing up everywhere while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name?
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty? Ugh.
She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and stubbing with her head. Like she's Claudia Kelly.
Well, I'm a whore.
Ride me up and down like a pony. Turning up my song, getting messy. Working up and down on your body. Ride me up and down like a pony. Turning up my song on your body. Baby, we'll get down to it all night. But maybe we can fuck again. And maybe things be different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know. And maybe we can fuck again. Then maybe things be different. Goddamn, baby, one more again.
Free City Podcast has been a production of the Rational Male. All rights reserved. 2025 registered trademark. And don't steal my mom's stuff.
How dare you?
just took a bath in battery acid.
Say my name.
God wants you to have the baby.
Definitely not.